Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Full Monty. We got the crew back together. We got a lot to get into. NBA playoff preview. We'll preview the Lakers and the Nuggets tonight. Western Conference Finals. We'll discuss it. Also, NBA lottery tonight. Oh, somebody about to embark on the first steps on a potential dynasty. Once-in-a-generation talent, Wembanyama. That is the prize. NBA lottery tonight. We'll preview that as well. Doc Rivers giving his walking papers. I think we all saw that coming. We'll get into that, too, coming up. Also, realignment brewing in college football again. Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day. We got an NFL news notes and nugget segment. We'll talk with the Cowboys' biggest weakness, says Pro Football Focus. Some of y'all ain't going to like this. We'll also get into some Texas football conversation. One college football analyst says Texas football is the biggest and most dangerous threat in college football today. Well, for that season, anyway. We'll get into that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but it's time to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pippin ain't easy, but for him, it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Mike Hardball Hard. He's back. What's going on, brother?
What it do, what it do. Glad to be back. Glad to be back in the house. I mean, as always, it's always fun chopping it up and getting to the crux of the matter. We're talking about NBA playoffs. We're talking about the lottery. Doc Rivers is fired. Come on, man. Come on, Doc. I'm just like, we kind of figured as much, especially when some of the conversations started happening. But it's the NBA. We don't know, but we'll find out tonight. Let me talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Famer, Longhorn. My man Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babels.
I appreciate the intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we're pretty sure that he's underpaid. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick?
Oh, I'm just got my anxiety up for the next 4 hours.
Anxiety? Whoa. Yeah. Good vibes. Good vibes.
I know, but
no
I got
anxiety.
about 4 hours until, we got to start celebrating the Wimby's coming to San Antonio.
I love that. In fact, I already got the nickname ready, calling him Wimby and everything. Yes, for those who do not know, and we will discuss it here in this segment along with previewing tonight's Western Conference Final matchup between the Lakers and the Nuggets. Also, we got to get to the Doc Rivers conversation, and so there's a lot to get into. But, yes, Victor Wembanyama is considered a once-in-a-generation talent. Basically, like every, I don't know how often we get these, Patrick, every 10 years maybe? 15,
yeah, maybe.
20
and
years?
then people are touting this one up.
Yeah,
this may be one of one.
No, they're talking about LeBron-like comparisons and what could be the impact because he's such a freak and a unicorn. So we'll break that all down. And I did some research, too, and I love his background. His background is, it's really, really impressive. And it's kind of Shohei Ohtani kind of like stuff in his background when you go look at his path to where, which is going to lead to him being the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Hopefully to the Rockets. To them Rockets, baby.
There y'all go.
That's what we're hoping. All right.
Yeah, y'all worried about that. Y'all in here battling for this.
And you know what? If he can't go to the Rockets, they don't get the number 1 overall pick. I am rooting for the Spurs. I root for the Spurs because I want them to be in Texas. And I guess I'll root for the Mavs, even though the Mavs are way on the outside looking in terms of odds.
Mavs are just trying to keep their pick.
They're just
trying to keep number 10 because if they fall to number 11, they lose the pick.
Yeah. Ooh.
They have a top 10 protected pick there. So
great point. So they got drama. They got a lot of drama too.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get into that because there's a lot of drama with the Texas teams because the first time in history of the NBA since they've had 3 teams in the state of Texas, none of the teams made the postseason.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic, man.
Which makes this day the most important NBA lottery probably in the history of Texas NBA teams.
Yep.
Right? Because we've never had all the NBA teams be this desperate.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So we'll get into that. That's a lot of drama there. All right, I say we start with the Doc Rivers thing because we have time. We'll get into the Lakers Nuggets. We got time for that, and obviously that's coming up tonight. Doc Rivers, and that news is right now the most relevant news. And I am not surprised at all. I mean, we talked about this yesterday, Patrick and Harge. I want to get your thoughts, obviously, about the Celtics advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then what we saw from the 76ers, which the domino effect, the butterfly effect, I think, obviously leading to the dismissal of one Doc Rivers. But this is not surprising considering what we've seen lately.
Right.
I mean, you go look at the head coaches that have been dismissed. It is right now. We're in unprecedented territory in terms of coaches and in the NBA and their lack of job security. Both of the coaches from the 2021 NBA Finals have been fired, and that's the first time in NBA history that two head coaches within 2 years of Finals appearances have been fired. 3 of the last 4 NBA championship coaches also have been fired. And if you go look at since 2018. Every coach who's made a Finals appearance since then, except for Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra, have been given their walking papers.
Yeah.
So there is no job security. And what we saw from Doc Rivers, Harge, I mean, even though he has obviously had his share of successes, I'm not saying that, but there are a lot of coaches, we just went through them, that have been successful, made runs, they have accolades, coaches of the years. I mean, Monty Williams was a 2-time coach of the year, and that has not really guaranteed them job security. And Doc Rivers, no exception, especially when you look at his lack of success in the postseason.
Well, you go back to it. I mean, Patrick and I were talking about it before the show today, and I got a chance to listen to you guys yesterday. Thank y'all, as always, for holding the ship and doing your thing. But you sit here and you look at it. You look at Nick Nurse, who won the championship. He's out of work. He's looking for a job right now after Toronto. You look at Ime Udoka. He just got picked up after being very successful. You look at Monty Williams and what he was able to do. Even though he didn't get the championship, he had a good coaching staff. Then you look at what Coach Bud did in Milwaukee. My man, you got a 2-time MVP. You got a championship in Milwaukee, of all places. And they've already gotten rid of you. And then you look at Doc, and you look at Doc in his last seven series when he was leading as the coach, and they were up 3-2 or better as a head coach. He ended up losing, obviously, to Boston just recently. Mm-hmm. In 2020, he lost to the Denver Nuggets when he was with the Clippers. Then you look at what he did with the Clippers in 2015. He was up 3-1, lost to your Rockets, Rod, 4-3.
That's a shame.
Conference Finals in 2012, up 3-2, lost 4-3 to the Miami Heat. He lost to the Lakers while he was up. He lost to the Orlando Magic in 2009. And then you also look at what he did in 2003 when he lost in the first round. He was up as the Magic head coach 3-1 and ended up losing to the Detroit Pistons. So Doc Rivers' track record does not look great for him. Yes, he won a championship in Boston. It was great. Every time you get to the mountaintop, everybody looks at you a certain way. But the biggest question for me, including, as our man CB said, you call Coach Sark Steven, we need to call Glenn Rivers now because Doc just got fired. So you sit here and you wonder, what's next for him? Is he able to get another team to the mountaintop? Is that something that when you look at Doc, does he move the needle for you if you're a team looking for a head coach?
No, there's a team that's going to hire him because there's a wife swap culture going on.
Yeah, I heard you say that yesterday.
Yeah. You ever watch that show back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why I used to watch that show. But
you always like that little trash reality TV.
I do like some trash reality TV. The trashier, the better.
Yeah.
And that wife swap, it was interesting because it was most people were in the mindset that my life could be better. I could upgrade. Right. At the with a different spouse or something like that, and I think that was kind of some of the motivation for it. Either way,
wasn't always successful though.
Exactly.
Yep.
There's kind of this belief. I think the grass is greener. We just we're right there. We just got to get a better coach to put us over the top, and that is flawed logic. Not saying it's not going to work. And getting back to Doc Rivers, the truth is the championship for Doc Rivers, now that we have an ample sample size of kind of his his resume so far, especially in the postseason, getting back to CB's point, that's the exception.
Right.
The championship was the exception. I mean, he has the
not
most,
the norm.
Yeah,
I got you.
He has the most blown series leads in NBA history. You just went through a bunch of them. You're talking about 33 losses, which are the most losses for any NBA head coach in history, in a closeout situation, in a series clinching situation. So he's 17-33, and he's lost 5 Game 7s, lost 5 straight Game 7s, and he's actually an Action Network actually threw this out there, and I was shocked to hear it. 9 straight games with a chance to clinch a conference finals appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, once it can be an outlier, twice coincidence, if you believe in that. If you get, a third time is probably a pattern. 4 times, all right, you know what? That's a trend. The 5th time, that's who you are. That's character. That's what you are.
Yep.
That's
what it breaks down to.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the championship to me was the exception. He kind of lucked out and got the right chemistry and concoction with that group. But ultimately, his team's peak too early, and much like Sark, to CB's point, he fails to make the adjustments or to anticipate the adjustments and come up with a creative, effective counter in a series. He's good enough to make the initial adjustments,
right.
But it's a 7-game series, just like Sark. He's good enough to have the preparation, the opening game plan and script, but it's a 4-quarter game. So once they make adjustments, you got to be able to win the chess match within the game, and he's not a chess master.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, and I mean, when you look at the fact that he has basically consistently coached as a head coach in the league since 1999, that is a crazy long time to not have the success in the playoffs. If you say, well, this guy's done like 7 years and, he's had some ups and down years, basically the only other person you can really kind of correlate him to in where he's been able to keep coaching and success is Rick Carlisle.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle's basically been a coach since, I think, 2001, 2002, somewhere in that area. But it's like that. Those are the guys. So if you're looking at hiring Doc Rivers now, you're like, well, he's maybe a Rick Carlisle guy where he'll be okay if we're just going to be in the middle, but we'll fire him when we want to win a championship. That's what you have to look at Doc Rivers as now, is he is not going to get us over the hump. He may be a guy we try and use if we want to build a young team, but he hasn't even been in that position in a long time. I think he's that middle guy coach, which is a hard that's a hard team to find, where you go, hey, we're starting to get better, and we need a guy to teach us how to be a more consistent and veteran team, and then we have to fire him because he's never going to win us a championship.
Which, in the NBA, when they're firing guys every, 3 years now, that's not crazy that the person that leads you down the path initially is not the person that gets you to the promised land.
Yeah.
But both were necessary, just for different reasons. So it's not crazy that he just has that kind of role. But, yeah, I agree with you, Patrick. I don't think Doc Rivers, for anyone at this point, looking at the sample size, will consider him like, no, he's the guy, he's the coach that's going to lead you to being a champion, coach you to being a championship team. He hasn't been able to do it.
Well, I think you can look at a lot of those coaches like that right now, though. I mean, what coach can you look at and say, okay, this is going to be the coach to get us to the championship again?
But that's the point, is
he can't even get to the finals.
You can go take a shot on a coach like an Ime Udoka or somebody like that. You go, okay, well, he's only got a few years in the league, so let's see if we like this young up-and-coming coach. And let's
go see about his credit report. His credit report is saying
he's been in the league since
he is.
99.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, is it is not a short sample size anymore where you can look at him and say, oh, well, maybe he'll turn around. We know exactly who he is now.
Yeah.
It is 20 years. It's not like in 23 years of coaching he'll go, oh, I got to do that now.
Yep.
He is going to be this coach, so you can hire him if you want to, but at a certain point, usually if you're in that middle level, do you really want to take him on, or do you want to go, hey, let's take a shot with the younger coach, and if we got to fire him in 2 years, we got to fire him in 2 years, but we're going to have to fire Doc in 3 years, so why do we need to hire Doc Rivers in the first place?
Yep. I totally agree with you. I think he does have a place.
Well, when you said 99, since he's been there from 99, won 1 championship, and you start looking at all these other things that are involved in it, then why not go after a younger player? Maybe bring him in as a GM or something like that. Maybe bring Doc
get him
in
as
that
a
way,
consultant,
so he can put together a roster, but not necessarily have to manage that roster every single day with the way the NBA is changing. But I sit here and I look at it because they have this list that's out right now as the top 10 available coaches right now. Do you think Frank Vogel is better than Doc Rivers? No, I don't. I don't see him as that kind of guy. Nick Nurse, maybe, because he's been in the game a shorter period of time as a head coach, and he's already had success. Monty Williams, obviously, we just talked about him, but he's another one. He's had the talent.
I think people will take Monty over Doc Rivers.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
I think so, too. Well, especially because of the type of person that Monty is,
Well,
too.
and I think right now he's just proven to be, just in a short time, he's had more success in a shorter period of time.
Yeah. But who? Okay,
but not saying he won a championship. I'm talking about in recent.
Yeah.
We're talking about how Doc Rivers kind of aged out of this thing, and the sample size is big enough, and it's such a like I said, expansive sample size. It's telling you he can only go so far. So why don't you hire somebody at least that has the mystery of the upside that maybe they can go further, because Doc's only going to the semifinals, pretty much. He's not going to get you to the conference. I mean, there have been 14 different franchises that have reached the conference final since 2017-18, and the 76ers didn't.
Yeah, that's sad because of the talent that they have, too.
That's not all Doc Rivers, but part of Doc Rivers, but not all him. But gets to the point that, I mean, that's they need to go a different direction. How is that possible?
Right.
Considering
all the talented players that they've had, too.
They've had the second best regular season record over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Yet
it is
they
very
can't get to the conference finals. It's like, what? That's crazy. Like, you'd have thought just out of sheer luck they'd have hit it at least once, and no, they haven't.
No, and I mean, like, you can tell, and I mean, it's different because it's more gimmicky offense, but Mike D'Antoni fell into that role of, okay, well, this isn't a playoff coach, so he can have some great regular seasons, and he can make a lot out of these players, but when it comes down to playoff time, he's not the guy you necessarily want, so he's a lot of fun, he's great, but if you want to win championships, he's not the guy. And he basically fell out of favor.
Yep.
And now his names are still involved in some of these coaching searches, because if you don't have the roster, he could be a really fun guy to put in there and go, hey, we can sell tickets while we try and figure out a roster. But Doc Rivers is going into that where it's like, man, he's a regular season coach, but when you need to get intensity up and when you need to play at a higher level, he's just not that guy.
Yeah, teams peak too early.
Yeah.
For Doc Rivers, because I do think, like I said, they get deep into these series and they get a lead, as Harsh just brought up in numerous examples, but they can't seem to win them.
Which is crazy when you got a team 3-1 and you can't beat them.
Crazy.
That drives me insane.
But that's also part of the mentality of really pushing for your player to get an MVP. And, like, I get it because you want your player to be happy and everything, but if your main goal for this player is an MVP, then you're preaching the wrong message to your player, because once he gets it, well, now he's achieved his goal and he's going to step back instead of stepping forward.
Yeah.
And you can't have that in the playoffs where it seemed like Embiid took a step back because, well, I guess everybody knows I'm the best now.
Right.
So I don't have to prove it anymore.
Right.
No, you still need to prove it.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, the numbers are mind-blowing. Now the numbers keep coming out. They just keep coming out with more staggering numbers. Like, man, it's been that long?
No doubt.
Lost 9 straight games with a chance to clinch a conference finals appearance and just can't seem to get over the hump. All right, well, if he was the coach of a team that got the number 1 overall pick, then he wouldn't have to worry about that, because he'd get
right.
he'd be immediately over the hump and on his way. If you look at all of the analysts and their projections about Victor Wembanyama, Wemby, as Patrick's already lovingly calling him as a Spurs fan, hoping they end up getting lucky, and everybody's hoping that they get a lot of luck on their side tonight with the NBA lottery. But how about this? And CB, shout out to my man CB who sent this to us at Chris GB002000. Adrian Wojnarowski said this is the most highly anticipated player to ever enter the NBA. Maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports. Now that may be hyperbole, but Woj
I don't
is the
think
man.
it is. I don't think it is.
And they that's what they're throwing out there, Harsh, about Victor Wembanyama, who's 18 years old. He's really young, but he actually just missed the age cutoff. He probably could have been the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft, but he had just missed the age cutoff because January 4th, 2004, he was born. So the age thing was weird for him to qualify to be draft eligible. But no doubt, best prospect since LeBron. But now they're saying it could be even bigger than LeBron, considering how freakish this young man is. 7'5". 7'4", 7'5" are the numbers I've seen. That's crazy.
That the part is, to me, is the craziest. And the fact that he moves around like a guard. He has ball handling skills. He can shoot from anywhere. I still go back to that video that we saw of him shooting a three-pointer, missing it, and dunking it all in one motion.
Follow up, man.
Yeah, I'm like, what is truly happening? And then you start looking at some of his moves and how he's played, and he's playing against some guys that are pretty physical over there in that league, to where it's like, I'm more impressed with the more times that I've seen him as a player than I was before, because it was unbelievable to watch him move around in the way that he can shoot the basketball.
My two favorite things about his background, because I know Patrick knows a lot about this too. He's been cyber stalking Wembanyama for a long time.
Yeah.
He's the first one I heard actually mention him like a year or so ago. His mom, Elodie, I believe is her name. She is a 6'3".
Yep.
And she was a pro basketball player, and she's a coach now. So I've been obsessed with the game. So Mama is where the basketball IQ comes from and the basketball skill, because Mama was a pro player and is a coach now. And his dad, Felix, is a 6'6" former competitive long jumper who is a track coach. So the beauty of him is that's why he's 7'5", but he runs so well. It's not an awkward 7. I know it's weird to say this because everybody 7'5" looks awkward. It's not an awkward 7'5". His father, the entire time he was growing up, his mom and his dad, they paid close attention to it. They made sure that his running technique and running form
stayed in shape.
Was always consistent, and that he was always that it was always a point of emphasis. So he actually can run.
Yeah.
He can run for a 7'5" guy. It is crazy to watch. And think about that running the floor. I don't know. I wish they would actually track it to find out how many steps it takes him to run the floor, Patrick. Because I bet it'd be one of those freaky science things. I honestly wonder if the over-under would be at like.
What was it called, that show? Sports
Science?
Yeah.
Man, I don't wonder if the over-under is like 12.5 or 13. Like, his dude it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
no,
dry.
I mean, in reality, the real one is how many steps can you dunk the ball from in half court? And I would assume it would be 4 to 5.
No,
It's like he can take those big strides and then take off and get it. And you're like, maybe it's 6, but something where you're like, it's 2 dribbles basically from half court to dunk.
What is going on?
Which is just nuts. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point, is if you look at him, like Kevin Durant when he came out was a similar player and about 6 inches shorter.
Think about what you just said. Similar player and 6 inches
That's what I'm saying.
shorter.
Yeah, and
Shorter.
and people think that Wembanyama's ceiling is possibly higher, but it's like if you say, "Hey,
It would have to be, Patrick, because he's 7'5". It has to be higher.
Technically.
No, but I think that's the point. Especially in basketball, height is so important.
No,
you know, it's why
you ain't got it.
It's why
out.
you don't draft.
Yeah.
You know why when you see a guard is thought of as like, oh man, this is gonna be the best guard ever. You're like, he's 6'3". I mean, he could hit 75% of his shots, and you still go, he's defendable. We'll get him. Like we know ways to stop him.
Yep.
But if you go, well, he's 7'5", they go, well, we don't know how to stop. He can just shoot over the top of everybody. We don't have anybody who can stop him from scoring now because he can just get inside. So now we have to be more physical. But the refs don't want us to be more physical. So what are we really gonna do?
Cheat code.
Yeah,
and he can shoot threes.
Human
and he
cheat
can
code.
rebound.
And
he can follow his own three-pointer.
Right now. Yeah, he's actually. Yeah, that's the thing about it. He actually can. He was 31% on 3-pointers, and that's something he obviously can improve on. 7'9" wingspan. That's one of the longest in NBA history. And something else I love about his past, just him coming up. I was just reading some articles about him, and one of his youth coaches in basketball. I hope I get his name right. Kareem Boubekri. He was basically a big fan growing up of Isaiah Thomas and Pistol Pete. Mm-hmm. And he would watch a lot of instructional videos, and he would have Wembanyama and all of the guys he worked with watching and one mixtapes and like Pistol Pete and Isaiah Thomas, and he forced Wembanyama, even as he grew huge, to still do the same drills as all the guards. And they would do really like non-traditional techniques of ball handling. And that's why his handles are amazing for a big man. You just don't see 7-footers that can handle the rock like this. He used to handle the ball. How about this? It was a little technique from this guy, Boubekri. Wembanyama learned to handle the ball working with soccer goaltender gloves to help with the feel and dexterity. Wembanyama learned that despite his height, he had to dribble the ball low so he could control it and make it harder for it to be taken away. And that was the backstory on why his handles are so damn good. And the backstory on why he runs so well is his dad's a track coach. And the backstory on why he's 7 foot. I believe his grandfather, who was Congolese, was stood also 7 foot. The whole damn family's tall. His sister's like 6'1". Her name is Eve. His brother Oscar is 6'6". They're both basketball players. It's a basketball family.
Yeah.
And so he's got great handles because his basketball coach growing up was like, nah, man, you working with the guards, man. We do all the same drills, all right, about handling here, and you got to do them too. And he became kind of obsessed with it because he liked all those and one videos, and he thought everybody wants to be a guard these days. Everybody wants to be a big man. So he thought of himself as a guard. He's like, no, I'm skilled. I was like, no.
Goes back to your thought process about DBs. Nobody wants to be a DB. They want to be a wide receiver.
Everybody wants to play offense.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Everybody wants, and he almost had this it almost was this dysmorphia where he was playing, he was doing all the drills, and in his mind, hey man, I'm a guard. I'm running, I'm fast. Hey, my dad's a track coach, man. I can win all the races and the sprints too because I'm fast. And everybody's looking at him like, dude, do you know how huge you are? They has no idea how big he is, and that dysmorphia, if you will, has really helped shape him and evolve him to being the ultimate unicorn in today's NBA.
Yeah, I've got a chance to watch a special on him on the Four Letter Network the other day, and it was one of those outside the lines type of deals, and it was talking about that exact same thing, about him learning how to dribble the basketball and the fact of what you said about his father. So going back to what Patrick was talking about trying to get to the rim from half court, the reason why he would be able to do it because of the form running, father being a long jumper, he knows the steps and the technique of how to get there. And to what everybody's talking about him being one of these transcending players like a LeBron James. And they said it. They said if LeBron was coming out at the same time, Jay Billis said this, if LeBron was coming out at the same time that he was, it would be very interesting to see who would go number one overall because of the ceiling that you can see on this player that it happens to be 7'5" with that wingspan and can play basketball like a guard.
It's freaky, man. And when he was, I believe when he was starting high school, they sent him. I would mess up the name of this school. It's like Nateri 90. You probably would know the name of this, Patrick. Nateri 92. It's basically a 100-year-old family operated basketball club that kind of operates as like an academy, if you will. And he went there.
Like our IMG.
It's the Hogwarts. They describe as a Hogwarts of basketball over there in France.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's in other countries. They do have different stuff for getting players basically ready because you play pro a lot sooner in other countries.
Yeah.
So they're like, they just don't have the same setup as we do. So there's parts of it where you get trained into it at a lot higher level and a lot quicker. But I think the biggest thing goes back to, though, when you see someone growing like that, there's often that point that we see where it's like that disconnect of their growth spurt comes, and all of a sudden it's like, well, those handles that you kind of had, those are going away. And so you get a little bit – it's like Jackson Hayes is an example of a guy who had some flow to him because he was 6'2", 6'3" for so long. And when he got bigger, he had played as a guard for most of his basketball career.
Anthony Davis, too.
Anthony Davis. So you see those guys that you're like, why do they have that flow? And they're like, because they were shorter and then had a huge growth spurt. David Robinson was a guy who could run really well because he was shorter for longer and had that growth spurt. I don't know when Wemby's growth spurt was, but you can say there's something to it of the consistent work that when he had this, he was constantly playing basketball. It meant that there was never that point where it was like, oh, your summer off, you grew 9 inches, and you were playing a little bit, but you were playing like twice a week, and you never caught back up to it. He was basically every day playing basketball.
Immersed in it
from childhood. And in that culture was able to never have that part where he grew 7, 8 inches, 9 inches, and
his skill set didn't keep up.
Yes, he was able to continue and the hand-eye coordination and all of that because that's what starts to go out the window. And I mean, and then just throwing the basketball IQ of watching him play defense.
And his mom, she's a coach and she's a player. So she watches it from a coaching perspective. He talked about that, and then his siblings also play basketball. So that's all they talk about.
Yeah,
their competition. And the dad's a track coach, so the dad's all about the fitness aspect of it and kind of the mechanics of his athleticism. Like, oh, no, you need to run like this. They told a story about when he would go up the stairs and his dad would tell him, no, you need to lift your legs. Like, you need to be lifting your leg because his dad's like, he's going to be big. You know what I mean? And you don't need to be out there like a brand new baby, deer or something. Yeah, baby giraffe looking awkward. No, lift your legs and kind of teaching him the mechanics of his body movement. And that's why looking at something that big looks so fluid and smooth. It's weird. Yeah. It don't make sense.
Well, the other part of it too, when you sit here and you look at it, he didn't get forced to go play on the block either. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of kids, when they're that tall, you get forced to go down to the block. So his mom being a coach and being part of that, and him still being able to have those guard-like skills, because a lot of times you're that big, everybody's like, go down on the block, we're just going to throw the ball to you, and you work on you play with your back to the rim. No, he's always played with his face towards the rim, so he can always keep that attack, not needing to have his back to the basket because he can see there. Because wasn't nobody going to block it.
No.
Nobody was going to block his shot anyway, so go ahead and work on your form right here.
Yeah, they just trying to get a hand in the face, Scottie Pippen style. We're going to put a hand in the face.
Exactly.
Man, it is. Yeah,
it's fascinating.
It really is. And honestly, no matter who he goes to, he's must-watch television. You're going to have to watch him. He's just that. When you see him for once, you're going to go, I gotta watch that.
Yep.
Like when is that dude playing again? I want to see him against other opponents, see how they decide to take away all of those freakish skills and freakish weapons that he presents because of that 7'5" frame. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into realignment brewing in college football. Yes, it is brewing, and we'll talk about who the usual suspects are. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. I want to put on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city. It's a magnificent city, actually. That's why we love it. The aesthetic appeal of Austin is fantastic, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of our good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. That's a long time. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic, exquisite landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, like I said, hey, so do my friends at Ironworkers Local 42, and they need your help because right now they're expanding. They're hiring over 3,000 people here in Central Texas for a huge project, and you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that help shape the future of our great city. They're hiring over 3,000 people, like I said. So to become a member, all you got to do is go to ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Top of the Charts Tuesday. That's when my man Patrick plays jams that reached the top of the Billboard charts on this day in history. And Boogie Fever. Oh, yeah. I recognize it.
That's that Jackie Moon style, so you can get that first pick in the draft right there.
Yeah, a lot of talk about Wembanyama. I will say Wembanyama did go to he did play for Tony Parker's team, right? He decided to play Tony Parker and his
then
brother
left
owned
Tony
it
Parker's team this year
to go to the I forgot the name of it. It's like another. So
They're
he played
Metropolitan
for,
92 or something like that.
Yeah, which I kind of don't understand, but yes, that's the team he's playing for right now, and I believe I don't know if it playoffs. They actually had playoffs.
They're playing today, right?
But
They're playing
I think he's
today.
hurt.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of the.
Don't take him now, guys.
If there's any downside of Wembanyama, it is he is 7'5", and we all know, and all these stats and analytics tell you that the bigger you are, the higher the chance of injury or higher the rate of injury, and he's already dealt with some injury in his very young career. So we don't want to talk about that today.
We don't want to talk
We're talking about Wembanyama and him being the next LeBron James. That's what we're talking about. Because the Spurs are hoping that's the case, and the Rockets are damn sure hoping that's the case. Okay, let me ask you this.
Mbappe went to his game today, and Mbappe is one of the best soccer players in the world.
Yeah.
And he was going to watch his game, Victor Wembanyama's first game today.
Okay, so is he?
This is his last game today.
So he is playing in the
supposedly.
playoffs?
I mean, he showed up for it. So
all right, now because I know he has there were some injury concerns, but it'd be good if he is playing. All right, let's get to the realignment brewing in college football, gentlemen. Because today, I'll say this week or earlier this week, sometime or last week, maybe it even was, because they weren't specific in this report, but it came from Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated. Take it back. He was 2 weeks ago. So sorry, he was specific. 2 weeks ago, it says here, that there were meetings that happened between Pac-12. The different athletic directors and the Pac-12 executives and the decision makers for the Pac-12, and also the Big 12 university officials and their athletic directors as well. And both happened based on this Ross Dellinger report in the same hotel, in the same resort, in Phoenix. It said it was like a long hallway and 2 flights of stairs is all that kind of separated them, and they were in 2 conference rooms, basically, kind of just in the same resort. I don't know how that worked out.
Meet me downstairs. Let's go have some drinks.
And
talk about moving around.
I'm sure some of that had to happen, right?
Sure.
So the Big 12 is talking about poaching and raiding the Pac-12, and the Pac-12. Maybe they're talking about raiding the Big 12. I don't know, but they're talking more about expanding too. But the teams that they're expanding with are obviously, I think it's like SMU is one of them. There's another team that's thrown out there they're thinking about expanding with. That was mentioned in this article. But also it pointed out mostly that the Big 12 officials, they are really close to poaching the Arizona schools, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. But right now, that's what they are discussing, expansion targets.
I'm down with that. I mean, this is something that we've talked about numerous times. If you're going to go out west, and obviously UCLA and USC are making that move to the Big Ten, why wouldn't you want to go get an Arizona State or an Arizona? That way you bring 2 teams in. You got logistical territories that are covered, and you keep those 2 for their rivalry together. I don't see why it wouldn't be one of those places that you do want to go. I know I would love to travel if Texas were still in the Big 12. That would be some place that I would want to go. I would definitely want to go to Arizona to go out there and watch a game. You got great weather. The time is going to be perfect for you if you are headed out there. So I'm looking at it that way. Colorado even. I would love to go to Colorado and watch a game up there. I wouldn't have told you that a couple years ago, but now that Deion's there, I would definitely go see it.
No, you're right about that. I'm sure that makes Colorado a more attractive expansion target, having Deion there. We don't know how long Deion's going to be there, but at least having him there for the time being while this conversation is happening. And also, throwing it out there, I think San Diego State is another team that was mentioned as an expansion target for the Pac-12. But the Pac-12, they're looking for a new TV deal as well. And right now, because of the instability and uncertainty with the conference, it's really tough for TV partners and broadcast partners to want to invest in the Pac-12 because they don't know if it's going to be there.
Right.
So there's right now the Big 12 and Brett Yarmark, and I do believe that they want to expand. What it's actually saying in the report that their top priority right now, and they are aggressively pursuing expansion. And those schools I mentioned, Arizona schools, Colorado, and Utah, are the top targets. And I think that Yarmark understands that survival. It's the survival of the fittest right now. If you don't poach from the Pac-12 and continue to grow and expand the brand, it's possible that you could end up being poached from.
Right.
And teams could end up, coming to raid the Big 12. Because right now, and because we still don't know if the Big 10 is done officially, we think the SEC is done, but we're not totally sure.
Right.
And the ACC, by the way, they got problems too. How about this? There are now members of the ACC that want a different revenue sharing model.
Oh, for sure, because theirs is awful.
Yes, they want an uneven revenue sharing model. Schools like Florida State, Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, group with the likes of Boston College, Syracuse, and Wake Forest, believe that they're bringing in more revenue, so they deserve more revenue, more of a bigger piece of the pie.
Well, they're dumb for signing that contract, bro. For 2036.
Yes.
You signed a contract for till 2036. If your product, and you knew you were going to have a good product because Clemson has been represented in the playoffs multiple times throughout these years, and you're going to be stuck in this deal where you can't even go back in and renegotiate this deal. 2036.
Yeah.
You stuck like Chuck, bro.
Which is why Notre Dame won't go to totally be all into the ACC either, because they're like, man, your money's too low. ACC schools right now, because of the deal Harsh just mentioned, 13 more years with that grant of rights deal, they could find themselves more than $30 million per school behind the SEC and the Big Ten in annual distribution by 2026.
Think about that.
In just 3 more years.
Right.
$30 million per? That's crazy.
It's ridiculous, especially with the amount of money that is being thrown around throughout college athletics right now because of the TV rights. Before you knew where you were going to be, and ESPN was the big dog. Well, they're not the big dog as much anymore. They're still the mothership. They still have a lot of the teams that we all want to see. But when you start looking at it and seeing that you are the ones that are getting the least amount of money and you have the hardest contract to get out of, there's going to have to be some renegotiations, but I don't know how you renegotiate that.
Yeah, I know. That's why, they're in a bad position because I don't know how you break those kind of ironclad. Right. You can leave, but they would encourage you to leave because they still own
your rights.
The rights to broadcast your game. So they're still going to they're like, no, go ahead, leave. I mean, somebody else can broadcast it, but we still own those rights. So we're still going to get paid, and then we can go in different directions. So you have to be able to come to a settlement with with ESPN, and why they're not incentivized to come back to the negotiating table because it's such a great deal for them.
And like you said, your exit fees could be, like they were saying right here, that you could have to pay $120 million in exit fees. Who has that? Yeah. They don't have that.
No, like Texas and like two, 3 other schools.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Texas and maybe a Notre Dame.
Oklahoma didn't even have the exit fees for the Big 12 exit for Texas and Oklahoma, and that's why that had to be negotiated. So I'm with you. I don't know why they signed that deal. Whoever that commissioner was at the time, that was a gross miscarriage of, and almost, but basically malpractice. In terms of miscarriage,
it
of your
is
duties.
Absolutely.
That was horrible.
Malpractice, man.
But getting back to the Big 12, Brett Yarmark, who I describe as an alien, I love it because a lot of people thought, man, get somebody who knows the industry, knows the terrain. He does not know the terrain, but sometimes that can be an advantage. That can be a strength for someone in his position. And he's came in and done a lot of things that really nobody really nobody thought about.
Right.
In terms of growing the profile of the Big 12. He's got a Big 12 Pro Day already, and he has a Big 12 business summit that they're having too. He's talked about them playing now in Mexico City, I believe it is. Right, he's trying to have them play internationally, but he also wants to have expansion targets that are kind of basketball centric. Because he's talked about the Zags, or at least there have been reports about him pursuing the Zags. There's also reports about him being interested in UNLV, but mostly from the basketball perspective, but also strategically because Las Vegas is where a lot of the Pac-12 business is done. And because Kliavkoff is a former Las Vegas, like a casino executive. So it's almost like a little shot at him, too. But
exactly.
They may be going after some basketball-centric targets in terms of growing the Big 12, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's in terms of revenue generation, it's the second biggest revenue generator in college sports today.
Yeah, and this whole thing with the realignment drives you a little bit crazy because of so much uncertainty by all the schools. The one thing we do know, we're going to get a chance to watch games. We just don't know what network we're going to be watching it on half the time, and especially if you're following certain teams. We've talked about this before. I have a way of getting Pac-12 games, and I still can't find them.
Don't tell on yourself.
And I still can't find them. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, you sit here and you think about, okay, I want to watch UCLA or I want to watch USC. You still can't find them even when they have a network.
That's fair.
So that's why when you see all this stuff talk about, man, we're not going to lose Pac-12 network, you need to. You need to try everything possible to create a new network where people can actually find you.
Yeah.
Because the reason why your numbers are bad is because it's so hard to find.
Yeah, so on the other end of the spectrum, the former Pac-12 commissioner totally botched negotiating their broadcast deal to the point where you can't even find the product when you want to find the product. And on the other end, the ACC commissioner totally botched their broadcasting deal, but it was to another extreme because they wanted so much security that they essentially devalued the product and watered it down and decided, hey, we'll sign with you for 20 years.
Yep.
Whatever.
How much is it for one reel?
Exactly. It's like, dude, you sure you want to sign that long? Yeah. To 2036. We just want to make sure that we're stable. And it's like, well, you should have bet on yourself a little bit there.
Right.
Your product was better because, like you said, you had a team that's been in the college football playoff.
Exactly.
Consistently the last 5, 6,
and at
7
least
years.
in a conversation for it every
you.
single year.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's terrible. That's that's terrible leadership by both sides.
That's a bad agent.
The Pac-12 and the ACC. Yes. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Top of the charts Tuesday. That's when my man Patrick plays jams. I reached the top of the Billboard charts on this day in history. Harge even like this one. This is one of Harge's favorite jams.
I do like this one. It's smooth.
It is smooth, actually.
Smooth.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the flex. FLXATX.com. FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. You can go check it out there. There is a schedule up for 7-on-7. So we're approaching 7-on-7 season. I believe May 20th. The 7-on-7 tournament. So you can go get a lot of details, or you can go get the details up there at FLXATX.com for the 2023 Saturday schedule for the 7-on-7, the basically flex area 7-on-7 teams, I should say that. So go check that out at FLXATX.com. All right. Well, on the other side, I do want to get into some Cowboys news, notes, and nuggets. So we'll get into a Pro Football Focus article that went through every team in the NFL, and it went through biggest weaknesses for every team. And I wanted to get Harge's thoughts about if he was surprised about or at least what Pro Football Focus believes the Cowboys' biggest weakness is. We'll get into that. And there is a running back potentially on the trade market that I think the Dallas Cowboys definitely needs to be interested in. We'll get into that as well. All of that and more when we return right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Top of the charts Tuesday. That's the way my man Patrick plays jams that reached the top of the Billboard charts on this day in history. Wow. I do know the song. But I
learn to live with each other.
I just
what we need.
I will
to
admit
survive.
I don't understand why people like the song though.
Come on, man.
I mean, it's two of the greatest artists in music history.
I understand that.
So that automatically is going to make people care about it.
See, that's like saying just because Al Pacino and Robert De Niro did a movie together, it was automatically great.
No,
and
but
that's
it's going to
the
make people
assumption.
care.
Was that Heat?
That's the assumption. No, Heat was great. They did another one after that with 50 Cent that wasn't great. And I think this is kind of the equivalent. It was like, oh, they're teaming up. They're two all-time greats. It's going to be awesome. It's like, not all the time. Not all the time.
No, but
And
this, I mean, it's
Hey,
just,
man,
it's
people
just,
are the same wherever we go.
Yeah.
There's good and bad.
and then there was
I'm all
the,
about the message.
There was the S-
everyone.
there was
I
the
love the
SNL
message.
bit that they did, which was great, which was Stevie Wonder as
Oh,
Eddie
yeah.
Murphy, and then Joe Piscopo was Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
That's
that
really
was
good. No, I'm not. Obviously, I admire the talent. I'm just saying, I never really. And that's a really famous song. It's in lots of movies, and it comes up all the time. So it stood the test of time. I just never liked the song. Harsh loves the song. He's in here singing
did,
the song.
man. I did. I love it.
He was there. He was. So I just never really got why people love it so much. But I'm glad they do. It reached the top of the Billboard chart. So obviously, I am in the minority on that one.
Yeah.
My man Patrick doing a great job on the top of the charts Tuesday. Appreciate his efforts. You can reach out to us via Twitter. Hardball Hallage at Hardball Harge, any Twitterverse. My man Patrick and It's Patrick Davis. And I'm at Rod Babers, any Twitterverse. Specs text line 512-337-3776. What you got coming up for the people on Hard Knock Life?
We got the world's strongest man, Mark
that's right.
Henry, coming on at 4:30. He's going to talk to us about AEW. He's going to talk to us about the big lift that he has coming up this weekend.
right.
Plus, he wants to get into some of this Dallas Cowboy talk, so it might be perfect for you to ask him about what he thinks the Dallas Cowboys' weakness is.
All right. Well, it wasn't my question. Well, I guess I'm asking a question.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It was Pro Football Focus's topic. This is not Rod B's opinion. So, okay, I don't want Cowboys fans mad at me.
Come on, Robbie.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be mad at me, but this is Pro Football.
I'm just the messenger.
There you go. Pro Football Focus had they basically have a early power rankings and listed within the power rankings they have kind of a rundown of every team. Within the rundown they have strengths and weaknesses of every team. And Harge, the biggest strength of the Cowboys, no shock, they said pass rush.
Micah
And
Parsons.
Micah Parsons, right? We know
Yep.
they talked about the pass rush, and that makes perfect sense. And, DeMarcus Lawrence, still got him, who's a really good pass rusher for you. But you may have potentially a defensive player of the year, and he's going to be more in a pass rushing role. As Dan Quinn says, he's a pass rushing linebacker, not a full-time defensive end, as one Micah Parsons said. But getting back to it, biggest weakness for the Cowboys in 2023, Harge.
Oh, I guess it's going to always go back to
Quarterback play,
Oh,
they say
shocking.
here.
yeah.
That's what they say. Dak Prescott suffered through arguably his worst season as a pro
Very true.
in 2022. Led the league in interceptions despite missing 5 games with injury.
Yep.
So
I would agree with that. I think what Dak Prescott did last year was probably one of the most unprecedented parts of his career.
is he your, in your opinion as a Cowboys fan, is that the biggest weakness? And if it is not the biggest weakness, what is the biggest weakness for the Cowboys? I think we all agree on the biggest strength.
Yeah, I would say the biggest weakness in 2022 was Dak Prescott. I'm not going to put him out there in 2023 and say that he is going to be the weakness. I think the biggest weakness for the Cowboys is going to be the running game. I don't know exactly who's going to be our running back. I think that would be where I would look at him. I think the secondary is going to be a lot better. We got players coming back from injury that are going to get a chance to play. I think the linebacker position got upgraded, and they provided themselves some depth. You got some guys with some experience from last year that got a chance to get their feet wet, so to speak, and so there's going to provide some depth. I think the pass rush, obviously, on the defensive line is going to be good. But I would say the biggest weakness and the biggest unknown would be the running game.
Okay. No, I don't disagree with that because they don't have a bell cow running back. Like I said, I love Tony Pollard and I love Deuce Vaughn. But remember the ex-running backs coach, what was his name? Is it Skip Pete? What was his name?
Skip Pete.
Was it Skip Pete?
Yeah.
He's on the record for saying that Tony Pollard is not the type of running back that you want to overwork.
Exactly.
He's on the record for saying he's going to lose some of his potency and some of his explosivity. You don't want to overwork him like that. So you don't want him to be a bell cow or workhorse running back. And with Deuce Vaughn, I love me some Deuce Vaughn. But Deuce Vaughn, even though he's a workhorse running back for the Kansas State, I don't know in the NFL if you want to build your running game around him. So like I said, those guys remind me of being, like I said, Tony Pollard, when he's healthy, maybe he can transition to being your bell cow running back. But remember, he's not even going to be healthy.
Right.
He's going to take a couple of weeks in the season, a couple of maybe in a month and so into the season to kind of get his bearings. And we remember how the Michael Gallup thing worked out last year. Took him the whole damn season, all right, to get back to himself. And I still don't think he got back to himself all season long. They just expect it to happen this season. So my point is they don't have a main course as their running back. They got a lot of side dishes. They got some mashed potatoes, some mac and cheese. It's good though. They got some greens. It's all good. But hell, man, those are all sides. That's not a main course. They need a main course bell cow running back. And we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on in this segment, actually, because there might be one out there. Maybe the Cowboys already knew
there's
that.
a couple. I have read that they're still saying that there is a chance Tony Pollard will be back for training camp, that he will be ready so that he should be ready by week 1.
Yeah,
is what you're seeing. That's why the Cowboys don't seem to be as freaked out about it as everybody else does. However, that still is implying that he's coming back better than he was last season before the injury. Because he wasn't a every down back last year.
No.
And so if we say now we expect him to be better with a offseason of rehab and not being back and then trying to not rush him back, and for a guy like him who's going to want to rush back because he wants to not give up his spot, because if you let anybody else start to take over and they do well, he just realized, there goes all of my money.
Yeah, but he don't want to come back too early and
I got my
hurt
$10
himself.
million. I agree, but he knows I got $10 million this year and zero future after this if I don't play well this year, because then I fall into that $1 million, $2 range.
Contract year.
And so it's a contract year.
It's amazing how people play when it's contract year, right?
Yeah. So I'm with you. He's probably going to try to rush it back, which I don't necessarily like. And here's the quote from Skip Pete. I got it here because I was thinking about this the other day and doing research. He says, when you make Tony Pollard a workhorse running back, he says the juice isn't the same, and he's not as quick, not as fast. When he had that long run on the 3rd and 1, talking about Pollard's 54-yard run against the Bears, as soon as he got to the sideline, he said, "Coach, I'm done. I'm done for the game. I'm done. I got no more." Some guys are race cars. Some guys are high-quality, expensive sedans. Those sedans can go forever and for a long distance and at a very high rate, where race cars go very fast and quick, and then they run out of gas. I've always just felt that at that position, you got to have two guys that are quality backs that can help each other, bounce off each other, and it helps if their running styles are a little bit different. I know they're thinking that's Ronald Jones to be that guy. I don't know if Ronald Jones is going to be that guy. So I'm with you, Harj. That could be considered the biggest weakness, but let's get back to Dak.
No, I'm trying to avoid that.
Let's also throw in Deuce Vaughn was not known for pass protection. Tony Pollard's not known for pass protection, and Ronald Jones is not known for pass protection. So just to note that all of those guys are not known for pass protection.
Which is why Zeke is still on the table, believe it or not.
Jerry keeps bringing him up.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And Emmitt Smith won't let it go. You remember Emmitt?
Yeah, Emmitt was hot about it. Yeah, he was hot about it. They need to
bring Zeke back.
That's because he went to the Arizona Cardinals and he hated life after that.
You're right, the running backs out, they all stick together.
Yeah, you ask Emmitt about that after a couple of drinks. You're like, they need to bring me back. You mean Zeke? Yeah, Zeke, that's what I meant.
By the way, Emmitt just had a birthday, 54 years old.
Shout out to Emmitt.
Feeling good because the QC Kinetics are so
That's right.
Well done, man.
I like that.
Okay, so how about this with Dak? Because they're projecting Dak's going to be the biggest weakness in 2023.
Yeah.
I did see this stat just doing some research on Dak. And Dan Orlovsky was talking about this too on NFL Live. Dak he started 33 regular season games in the last 3 seasons. And in those 33 starts, he does have 29 interceptions. And most of those obviously came this past season when he led the NFL interceptions. But I will throw this out there, even though he had the worst interception rate in the NFL, 3.8 in 2022. That is the outlier
Thank
and the
you.
exception to the rule. Dak, most of his career, has been a really responsible and kind of careful quarterback when it comes to, decision making and turnover rate and interception rate. He's tied for 8th among quarterbacks. If you go look at it, and 2 of those guys, by the way, aren't even full-time quarterbacks, but he's tied for 8th among QBs in his career interception rate at 2.0.
Thank you.
And he's tied with Joe Burrow and better than Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson. He had a 1.7 interception rate coming into 2022, obviously. Leading the league in interceptions will increase that interception rate. But coming into 2022 last season, 1.7, that was 3rd among full-time starters. Only Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers were better. So that is the outlier. I think what they're predicting is this thing continues to kind of spiral. And I think the Cowboys, unfortunately, they saw some of that too, which is why, number one, they got him reinforcements in the wide receiving core, all right, because they lost his favorite target in Dalton Schultz, so they went out and got Brandon Cooks, so another target to relieve some of the pressure off of CeeDee Lamb, because he's got so much gravity now as their wide receiver 1. And also, even Mike McCarthy's words, they want to run the ball more.
I think they need to anyway.
They want to run the ball more, less pressure on Dak.
Yeah.
So they believe that Dak could potentially be part of, not saying the biggest weakness, but that he could be kind of what's holding them back because they put too much on Dak's shoulders, asking him to do too much.
Yeah, then that is very fair. And just like you and I have been talking about before, Dak is a better quarterback when he has play action.
Yes,
when he runs play action, he is definitely one of the best quarterbacks. His percentages are very high. His touchdown and his completion percentages are high. And his interception rate goes very far down. So when you start sitting here looking at it, and then you also, everybody wants to talk Dak is whack, Dak is whack. Well, Josh Allen finds a way to throw just as many red zone interceptions and crucial interceptions, but nobody ever wants to talk about that when it comes to that point. So for me, when I look at Dak and Mike McCarthy being able to say, all right, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run play action, we're going to ensure up our offense, you're looking at it as just another way for them to continue to compete. I think it's going to be important for them to get the ball. You talk about it all the time, quick game, quick game, quick game. If you can get the ball out of Dak's hands a lot quicker and put it in playmakers' hands, you will see a different result. When you have him taking 5 to 7 step drops with no play action, yeah, it gets a little sketchy sometimes. It gets sketchy. But I think also Dak needs to run the ball a little bit more and not be as hesitant, because when he does that, linebackers have to come and jump him and make sure that they don't get the proper depth, and he still might be able to complete some passes. So it's going to be a huge step for him when it comes to Mike McCarthy and how he uses Dak in this year's offense.
I think he wants to use less Dak, and this is what he's saying. You go look at it. I mean, these are quotes from Mike McCarthy. He's and this is from Stephen Jones and Mike McCarthy, right? So Mike McCarthy said, I've been where Kellen has been. Kellen wants to light the scoreboard up, but I want to run the damn ball so I can rest my defense. I think when you're a coordinator, but you're in charge of the offense, being a head coach and being a play caller, you're a little more in tune with everything. I don't desire the number 1 offense in the league. I want to be the number 1 team in the league with a number of wins and championships. And if we got to give up some production and take care of the ball better to get that, then that's what we'll do, because we have a really good defense. And I asked Goose Goslin when you brought him on Harsh Knock Life that question. I said there are 2 ways to win the Super Bowl: elite pass rush and elite quarterback play. At least most of the recent Super Bowls we've seen, that's the way it's done. There are exceptions to every rule. And I said I think the Cowboys are closer to being a team that wins the Super Bowl with an elite pass rush rather than a team that wins the Super Bowl because of elite quarterback play. And by the way, I'm a Dak fan. Right. And Goose Goslin agreed. And by the way, I think the Cowboys now agree too.
Yeah.
That, you know what, guys?
Let's run the dang ball.
Us trying to win the Super Bowl by, forcing Dak to lead us to the promised land is putting way too much pressure on Dak, and it actually may be hurting his development as a quarterback. We don't want that. Now let's lead on what may be our separator and what may be our most elite quality as a team, our pass rush and our defense, because it's a top 5 defense that could even be better this year potentially. And let's run the ball and let's feature the defense.
Yes.
And I at least based on the quotes, that's where the Cowboys are going. Stephen Jones on 105 through the Fan. We actually, you might say, held Kellen back on productivity just so we could stay out on the field longer at times. That's been, again, to help the defense out. It's why the running game can be so important, because you get to stay out on the field longer.
Yeah.
Just going off what they're saying. Now, they could just be making it up as they go along, Harge. But I think based on that season they had where Dak threw a lot of those interceptions, they're saying we're putting too much pressure on Dak. Let's run the ball more and stay on the field more and basically turn Dak back into a high-reward, low-risk quarterback. Last year, he was high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
And you want low risk, high reward.
Exactly. And that's why I've been saying it. I was like, take your time with the football. I kept saying run the football. Run the football. Play action passes help you so much more than anything else. And if you're going to be able to run the ball and keep the defense rested, and then they come back out there and get you the ball back on short fields, I'm all for that. It takes away the risk, like you said. Now it's to the point now where you sit here and you look at this team and you go, all right, what's going to be the best benefactor for this team? Well, we just looked at it. They don't have much of a running game right now. So even though you're saying we want to run the ball, you haven't given yourself a bell cow to hand the ball off to. So now you're putting it right back into the quarterback's hands, who you said you wanted to take it out of his hands a little bit.
I don't understand them not drafting. Well, they drafted Deuce Vaughn, but I thought they should have prioritized one a little bit more. Or win a free agency and got yourself a cheap one like Deontay Foreman or something like that. But I do think the dispute getting back to the Cowboys want to run the ball more, and that's about, trying to stay on the field, ball control. If you can run the ball, that means you can control the ball. That means you control the game. Cowboys want to do that more. I went and looked up these stats about Kellen Moore's offense. Cowboys were top 10 no-huddle percentage each year. And you can look at their plays per game. They end up being top 5 in plays per game under Kellen Moore. Now, they also score a lot of points. In 2022, you can look at offensive scoring. Take away defensive touchdowns, special team touchdowns, non-offensive touchdowns. Take those away. Cowboys were third, behind only Kansas City and Philadelphia in offensive scoring minus non-offensive touchdowns. And a lot of that for Kellen Moore, it was about pace. You look at situation neutral pace with Kellen Moore, Cowboys were second, first, fourth under Kellen Moore. I think that bothered Mike McCarthy. And modern offenses, they do want to have up-tempo. Mike McCarthy, he's admitted, and even Stephen Jones mentioned, they want to slow it down and keep their defense off the field and keep their defense as fresh as possible. But the last 2 years, Cowboys are the highest scoring team in the NFL in the last 2 years. Kansas City is second. If you look at overall scoring, Bills are third. So they might have a point. That points, it's not the issue.
Right.
Because they have scored
points are not the issue.
They scored a ton of points. It's like, man, we can score points. That ain't winning us enough games, especially when it matters most.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you'll see the shift.
And, I mean, we can look at stats. If you put up 50 against an Arizona team without Kyler Murray, and then you put up 10 against the Eagles, you did not put up 30 points in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
But your stats go, well, I had 50 in one and 10 in the other. That's 30 points a game. You go, no. You beat a bad team by a ton, and then you couldn't compete against a really good team.
I'm with you. It can be misleading. It is, because the Cowboys feel like they need to make a change. That's why it was a mutual decision, I think. But they decided to move on from Kellen Moore, and now it's all on Mike McCarthy. And
I think we all know the reason. Yeah, oh my God. But I think we all know the reason why it's on Mike McCarthy, because if he doesn't get it done, he's saying, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out my way. I don't need y'all to help me. I want to make sure I do it my way, because if I'm going to get fired, I want to call the plays.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like Bill Parcells, you always say, if I'm going to cook the dinner, I want to buy the groceries. I want it all to be on me. And we'll see. I mean, you're right. It's going to be a ton of criticism if that Cowboys offense takes a dramatic drop off in productivity. But I don't think they
And then I will give you the respect of Kellen Moore by that time.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Then I'll give Kellen Moore his proper.
Oh, that would be that would be shocking if you actually gave Kellen Moore props. I don't think you did it one time when we were doing the
Not
show
even
together.
close.
Not even close. Even on those days when they scored 40 or something like points, never got it from Hutch. Okay,
Never.
real quick, because I know we're up against it. This story has been out there for a little while about the well, it's not about the Cowboys, but it could be about the Cowboys. So it's been reported that Dalvin Cook could be potentially on the trade market. Would you, as a Cowboys fan, Harge, be interested in Dalvin Cook for the right price, of course?
For the right price, absolutely. And you sit here and you look at that running back room right now. We just talked about it. You looked at if Dalvin Cook were there. Then you look at Ronald Jones, Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn. I think Malik Davis is in there as well, another name that we did not bring up. So you sit here and you say, who is going to be that ground and pound back? I don't even know if Dalvin Cook would be considered a ground and pound type of back either.
No, but you can committee it. You can moneyball it with them three.
That's what you would have to do. And then you would trust it a little bit more, right? Because you got a guy that's fully experienced at the position, has some pop to him, and can take it to the house and not be that guy that is like, Coach, I'm done. Don't put me back in there. I ain't got no legs.
Yeah, just because he'd be worn out.
Yeah.
But with those three guys, with a healthier Pollard and Patrick brought the report, they're expecting him back for training camp. That would make me feel a lot better about that running back room.
Yeah.
Right now, the rumor is the Vikings could designate Cook as a June 1st cut. So that's why teams are reluctant to try to trade for him because that would save them $9 million in cap space if that is the case. But I mean, for the Cowboys, man, this could be. And I know it would cost them some money. I think it would count. Currently, he's set to make his cap hit due to his contract is set at $14 million for 2023.
Okay.
And then $15 million the year after that.
Okay.
And $13 million the year after that.
Okay. So,
Now you can get out of it because a lot of it's not guaranteed. So a lot of once you get through this year, you can cut him, and it's only I think a $3 million cap hit. But it's a lot harder to keep him. If you make a trade for him, it is a 1-year deal most likely.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to cut him, which he's probably just going to leave then anyway.
Which I think he wouldn't mind. He's basically in a contract year too. You tell him that and say, hey man, basically we're making a contract year for him, and then you would get the best out of Dalvin Cook too, best out of Tony Pollard too, and then you can kind of readdress running back after this season. But that's out there.
But then it changes the way you go about it. It's like, are you trying to go to the Super Bowl, quote unquote, or are you just trying to make it through the season and wait till next year? This is the NFL. You got a chance to go and win it. Go win it.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. If they go after him, but teams, I think
We
teams
still
are
got to
waiting.
see what's going to happen with Derrick Henry too.
Yeah, and teams are waiting after June 1st to see if they officially cut him. And if they cut him, then it's
Is
gonna
there
be a feed
waiver
frenzy.
wires? Is there waiver wires in the NFL? I've never even thought about that because in baseball
it's a
you
waiver.
have to
There
wait.
is.
Yeah, there's a waiver.
There is, but no one's gonna pick up a $10 million running back contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're not worried about that as much.
All right, Hard Knock Life, what you got coming up?
Coming
for the
up,
people?
we got the world's strongest man, our guy Mark Henry, talking about all his events that he have going on this week here in Austin, Texas, and I can't wait to talk to him about the Dallas Cowboys as well.
That's right. He's a busy man.
He is.
Always makes time for us, and we appreciate it. So we got a legend, Mark Henry, coming up next, right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Hart here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at the Lee Kitchen and Tavern. That's right. The Lee Kitchen and Tavern has 4 Austin area locations, Belterra, Lakeway, Bee Caves, and, of course, my favorite, Avery Ranch. I know last night was Burger Mondays. That way you got 2 burgers for the price of 1, and I hope everybody got a chance to dine in. And since we're talking about burgers, the May burger of the month is the Santa Fe Burger. It's house-blended patty, Hatch chili braised pork, pepper jack, pico de gallo on an aioli bun. And they also have this amazing cocktail. If you are into Palomas, they got the prickly pear Paloma. And you can also pair that with the May entrees. That's right. We got the skillet tachos, tater tots, queso, chili, pico de gallo, avocado, and sour cream. Or you can mix it with the Hatch chili pork enchiladas. That's right. Some of my favorite. And it's also topped off with some black beans and rice. Whether you dine in or pick up, the League Kitchen has something for you. You can view monthly specials and the menu at leaguekitchen.com. That is leaguekitchen.com. Welcome back to a Top of the Charts Tuesday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Hard. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Hard. You can follow my man Rod Babers at Rod Babers. And, of course, you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And joining us on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline is a man that you've heard multiple times on these airwaves for many reasons. But as of right now, we want to talk about a big event, two big events that he has coming up here in Austin, Texas. We got AEW going tomorrow night, and we also have the Big Lift, Mark Henry's Big Lift going on Friday night. And you can get all that information at hornfm.com. But joining us right now is our man, Mark Henry. What's going on, big fella?
Hey.
Not much, man. I'm so glad that Patrick Davis took me off the band list.
Never was on it. Never was on it.
Patrick was like, look, man, he can't be calling in every week.
Hey, he went rogue on that one, man. That was not a group decision,
Why
man.
you gotta throw me under the bus?
I'm just saying, we didn't. I don't know if he did it or not, but it wasn't a group. I had nothing to do with it.
Y'all trying to get me? I'm gonna see this man on Friday, and I'm gonna get killed now.
I'm just saying. I would see him too. That's why
I'm going to see y'all at the event on Friday, I hope, and we'll discuss that then. I'm gonna make sure that there's going to be somebody that'll hold my hat.
Well, Mark, before we get into everything, your event on Friday, you also have an event that's going on tomorrow night at the Moody Center. This is probably one of the biggest events that you've been a part of at the Moody Center thus far, as AEW will be in town. And I believe you're going to have your full roster there this week, right?
Oh my God, man! This is a big deal for us. I'm so happy that we're finally gonna be able to get into the Moody Center. It's been a long time coming. We wrestled around Austin, as I've told y'all many times. Really enjoyed being at the HEB Center, but Austin, when you talk about Austin, it's like Broadway. When you're at the Moody Center, it's like you're not off Broadway. Now you're on Broadway. It means that you've arrived, and we've arrived, man. This is going to be an unbelievable show.
So what are you so excited about when you talk about this match and all the names that will be there? One of my favorite wrestlers, besides you, of course, because I don't want to be on the ban list either. One of my favorite wrestlers is Sting, and for him to be around as long as he has been and still able to perform at that level. And obviously you guys have been around each other and been friends for a long time. What does he bring to the table all the time?
Experience, validation. He's mentored Darby Allin and pushed Darby Allin to be a bigger star than he is. And Sting and Darby Allin will be there tomorrow. And I'm excited to see those guys always at a work capacity, but just as a leadership and friendship, means it's great to see Sting in the building.
Hey, Mark, I know you have a lot of responsibilities as a new executive over there. Can you give me, because I know you also were a talent scout at one time, and I know that's still part of some of your duties, or at least some of your passion projects, I should say. Give me the name of somebody coming up in AEW who you think is going to be a future star that people aren't talking enough about.
Well, I mean, already a star.
Okay.
One of the people I scouted was Jade Cargill. She was a basketball player. She's married to Brandon Phillips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has the the softball team.
Yep.
Texas
here in
Smoke.
Austin,
Texas Smoke.
And I mean, they want all the smoke over there.
That's what he said.
It's Jade Cargill. She's 50+ wins and world champion. And I take a lot of pride in finding people and being able to push them and mentor them to the level of success that they attain. But one of the things I always say is if you bear my name, you're going to have to outwork people. You're going to have to be the first one there, the last one to leave. And you're going to have to be able to learn to work with other people in a way that I wouldn't give other people that kind of, talk unless they were one of mine, because if you bear my name, man, I'm going to treat you like I treat my kids.
I'll never forget it, Mark. We're talking to the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. And I remember, Mark, you telling me, you were like, hey, I met this girl. She is one of the best athletes that I've seen in a very long time, and she will be a champion one day. And then you said, and you know what? I think her husband is a baseball player. You might know who he is. And sure enough, we ended up having Brandon in-house.
He knows everything about it.
And Brandon came in-house, and we were talking about her, and he kept calling her Miss Dynamite. She is in charge of everything because she's the champion. And she's part of the baddies. I've been checking out the baddies.
She's Google worthy, guys. Just so you know, she is Google worthy. Yes.
I mean, definitely Google worthy.
So, Mark,
I'm gonna leave it at that, man. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, no doubt. You don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, don't get nobody in trouble. Don't have Mr. Batty coming out looking for people as well, because he said he wants all the smoke.
And Brandon will be there. I'm very proud to say that, I talked to Brandon and he was like, man, I'm going to buy a table, for me and my people. I'm sure Jade, she may sit at the AEW table. I don't know, but I'm going to get one. I was like, man, I appreciate that. And all of you people here in Austin that have supported me and bought these tables and tickets, I really appreciate this. This is going to a great cause. I was that Olympian that lived at the Olympic Training Center, made the Olympic team, and struggled financially. And I was blessed to be able to have people that endorsed our team and sponsored our team. And man, without that, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So I'm trying to give back to the people that were like me.
And that's what it's all about. Mark Henry, he's talking about the big lift that will be benefiting the U.S. Weightlifting Foundation that will be going on this Friday night at Hotel Van Zandt downtown. Make sure you go to usweightliftingfoundation.org and /the big lift, or you can go to hornfm.com to find out more information about it. And Mark, there was an announcement that came out yesterday that I got a chance to see. You have some big name people that are going to be at this event, a lot of local former Longhorn players, NFL players, but you've also got an Olympic wrestling champion that is coming in. Tell the people who you have coming in for this event this Friday.
You know what, man, I'm real proud to say that Charles Austin, Olympic gold medalist in the high jump at the 96 games, is going to be there. The guy jumped 7'10". So you go to a doorway.
Wow. And
you look at how high the doorway is and then add 10 inches to that, and he jumped over that with his back.
Good Lord.
Just to put it in perspective.
Wow.
And everybody knows America's sweetheart, Rulon Gardner. Nobody gave him a chance. They thought that he was not athletic enough, that he was up in age, and he went to the Olympics and he beat the greatest Greco-Roman wrestler of all time, Alexander Karelin. I'm so excited to be able to say that he's going to be there. And man, my guy, Nate Boyer, is going to be in the building.
Yeah.
That's my dude, man. And Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Smith, Vernon Davis, and for all you San Francisco 49er fans out there, Vernon is going to be here. Unbelievable guy.
Wow.
And so many Longhorns, from T.J. Ford, Brian Arakpo, Derek Johnson, Michael Griffin, and we go down to Corey
Rod Babers.
You said who's who up
Rod
Babers. I don't know. That nobody's going to be buying tickets for that one, though. Let's be honest.
Brother, the Longhorn of all Longhorns, Earl Campbell, man.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to beat. I have a lot of respect for Earl Campbell. He He's been a mentor to me. I talk to Earl when I'm frustrated, and he's always the calming force. Hey, man, did you get your check? Yes, sir. Okay. You know, drop that pride.
I like your Earl impression, too. That's pretty good.
Listen, man, he got the calmest voice of anybody that's around me. So, shout out to Earl Campbell.
I love it.
Wow.
Well, Mark, anything else going to be going down? We want to talk to you about the Dallas Cowboys.
You might as well.
So,
Come on.
yeah, I know you've been wanting to talk about this, and Pro Football Focus came out today, and they were talking about the biggest weakness on the Dallas Cowboys coming into this season will be Dak Prescott. I said, hold up, wait a minute. I'm not going to let you put that in it. I believe that Dak is going to be better than what he was last year. I think he's going to be more effective. But what said Big Mark Henry when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys?
You know, I thought that Dallas could have won 10 games with Cooper Rush. And the reason I say that is because Dallas does not have to be flamboyant to win games. You can have a game manager and win games. And they proved that when Dak was injured. The thing that I feel like is a problem is Dak overcomplicates things for himself. And if he can get to the point to where he could just take the down and for the down and distance, the Cowboys would be fine offensively. The problem with the Cowboys was not offense; it was defense. They could not. They had the lowest efficiency rating in 3rd down and 1, 4th down and 1 in the East in their division. So now with the draft pick that they got from Michigan, Mozzie, that guy does not go backwards. So that's going to help their efficiency rating when it comes to short runs and having the Eagles run a quarterback draw and get first downs. They got 5 first downs on 3rd and 4th down. You can't do that. You will not beat Eagles like that. So now that they fixed that, I feel like with Micah Parsons being healthy, and, man, we got Debo, man. We got DeMarion Overshown.
Hey, and Michael Parsons playing more pass rushing specialist is going to open up things for Overshown too, man.
Yeah, that's going to allow him to be able to do what he did at Texas. Free range, roam, get those backs out of the backfield and tight ends on the crossers. And when they think they got us figured out, that guy can blitz. I mean, he could come from anywhere on the field in a heartbeat and play special teams. The Cowboys pride themselves in special teams. And think about how many block punts and block kicks that Overshown had. So, Cowboys did a hell of a job fixing their ills.
Hey, one more thing before we let you go, Mark. Are the Lakers going to win the title? They going to win it all?
Oh, come on now. Yes. Listen, the Nuggets have not they have not seen this Laker team. They split with the old Laker team. This is a better team. I feel like they're going to represent the West, and it's going to come down to, can they shut down Jason Tatum? I've already moved on from this series.
My goodness.
I'm on the East.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm on the championship series.
Whoa. What are we talking about? 6? Do we get to 6 games then?
No.
Whoa.
This is going to be done in 5.
Wow. Okay, there you go.
Okay, Mark, listen, man, I believed you for a little bit. I took my headset off when you talked about Cooper Rush. Leading up to that much, I had to take my headset off because I was a little disappointed in you. But I'm really good. I'm challenging you on this right here. I'm challenging you. Look, I want the Lakers to win too, but have we not watched what Denver's been able to do in the attack mode that they have been in They have been getting to the rim, and Joker, you can't underestimate who he is.
I don't underestimate Joker, not in the least little bit. But he is going to be the most tired guy that ever played basketball. They have Hachimura that could go at him. They have Anthony Davis that'll go at him. Like, just those two are guys that can play the perimeter with him. He plays the perimeter up top game like a point guard, and they do a lot of slashing. You can't do that with the Lakers because if you try to play that game, ask the most efficient team in the league at doing it, the Warriors, when you play the high pick and roll, they always have an answer because they have guys that can defend up top and down low. LeBron, if you wanted LeBron to play off the ball defense, he could do that too. They just don't. That team does not have enough bigs to battle with the Lakers, and I feel sorry for him because I'm a big fan of Joker, and I would love to see him be able to go to a championship game, but not this year.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Sizzling. I like it. I like that, man. I like that. Convince me. I'm taking the Lakers too, Mark. So I'm with you, Mark. I'm taking the Lakers too.
I'm all in on the Lakers. You know I'm in on them.
Hard, you got on me a little bit because you thought that I was bashing Dak. I was not bashing Dak at all. I'm a Dak fan. I just want Dak to be more of a game manager and not get bored with the game.
I agree.
And feel like he has the challenge himself. Don't challenge yourself. Just win the game.
Yep.
And
I'm in.
Do that.
I'm with you on that, Doc. I'm with you.
I can remind you about him throwing the same at Philly because he just felt like I could get it in there. This is the NFL, man. You cannot run the same play and throw the same route at a cornerback in the NFL.
Agreed.
You just can't do it. The worst guy on the team will beat you the second time.
Agreed. Right. Agreed.
He got to be more poised than that.
Well, we appreciate you, and we'll definitely be following up on this. You sitting here thinking the Lakers going to win it in what, 5?
5. You heard it.
Oh, it's already over.
Oh, it's already been spoken for?
Yeah, we already headed to Boston.
That's my man right there. There he is, the world's strongest man.
Tickets available, Hard.
Yeah.
Tickets available.
Still tickets available. You know I'm riding with you. I'm riding shotgun. You know that. I'm always with you.
Come on, man. Come on. Let's go.
We appreciate it, Mark. As always, get over and check out my man, Mark Henry. He's got a lot going on, whether it's AEW tomorrow night or the Mark Henry's Big Lift that will be going on this Friday at the Hotel Van Zant. For more information, go to hornfm.com and get on the page. You'll be able to find it. Mark, as always, bro, I'm proud of you. Keep pushing, man.
Thank you very much, man. I'm always trying to help everybody else. That's God put me on this earth to be of service.
I appreciate that, as always.
God
there
bless
he
you,
is,
brother.
Mark Henry, folks.
Thanks, Mark. He is he's a legend, and we appreciate when he makes time for us. He's got a great. So that will be at give the address again, the web address.
Go to hornfm.com, or you can go to the U.S. Weightlifting Foundation.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be giving more details about that, but yeah, Hart said it best. Go to hornfm.com. We come back. Thanks to Mark Henry. We come back. We got the flex on the other side. There is a rumor out there, and if it is true, it is going to break the internet. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I love the new sponsor for Off the Record.
That's right.
The Salon for Men.
Salon for Men. That's right.
Oh,
Giving out the OU Suck special.
classy.
Yeah.
I like that, no doubt. All right, love the love. All right, let's get to this off the record here while we got a little time. So I got this from the New York Post. Kim Kardashian and Tom Brady are friends. They have a friendship, guys.
Uh-huh.
She has looked to buy a vacation home in his exclusive Bahamian neighborhood. And apparently, in her efforts to shop for a new vacation home, she got Tom Brady's advice ahead of making a trip to look at property at Baker's Bay Golf and Ocean Club, an exclusive members-only residential community in the Bahamas, we're told. All right, gentlemen. It said the page 6 says Kim and Tom are friendly. She phoned him and asked him for advice on his Baker's Bay. We know she's got that good. Because it seems that, all the guys who come into her, orbit, they seem to get hooked on this vixen. Does Tom Brady get hooked on the Kim Kardashian? What's the best way to put this? In her web, her web of lust. And basically reality TV show realm. Did she get hooked in this realm?
No.
No? You don't think so?
I don't.
A lot of guys have fallen victim to it.
Not even close, because Tom Brady, Kim Kardashian is not one of his.
That's not his type?
That's not his style.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, let's go back and look at from what we've seen in his past. From his 2 baby mamas, let's just use that. I don't know how many other starlets he's dated.
He's dated a bunch
but
of them.
she doesn't fit the profile.
Well, when you're divorced and you're just out there trying to experiment, have a little fun, I don't think he's gonna marry her or have kids with her.
I think he
But
can
if
find
you
some
are-
other ones that a lot of
You could.
others haven't.
But she seems to
been
be
spending
really
a lot
fun.
of time. Well, I mean, it's Tom Brady.
I know, but
I
I'm just
watched
saying,
80 for Brady, and they was trying to.
I know,
Them
but
old ladies was
she-
trying to give it to him.
she's a modern sex symbol, which a lot of people are not. And modern sex symbols at times can be very alluring to stars and celebrities like Tom Brady. Almost a bucket list item, if you will.
Yeah, but I think Tom,
Think Tom's too classy for Kim?
I think he keeps it moving, man.
Okay.
I think he keeps it moving.
You know,
he falls for it.
We're not talking relationship.
No, I'm not
here.
talking about forever. No. I'm not talking about any
Not
of
even a
that.
friend with the benefits?
No.
Nothing.
I mean, you
Never.
know how many friends are lining up for his benefits right now?
I know. And
So
Kim
he-
could be one of them.
Nah, I don't think that'll be.
You don't think it
I don't
happens?
think that'll be the case.
I think Tom Brady's like, once he went Pete Davidson, it's below. It's too far below me.
She did go Pete Davidson recently.
You can't
For a
go,
while.
Yeah.
You can't go SNL cast member. You can go SNL host. It's as low as you can go to be Tom Brady.
That could be.
You could be
You
host.
could be right
you
about
can't
that.
Be cast.
I think y'all are underestimating Kimmy, man. She puts
Nah.
her mind to something. Yeah, nobody ever thought she would be in the White House trying to free prisoners out of prison and getting a law degree either.
Yeah.
But it happened. And nobody thought she would build an empire from a sex tape. And it happened. Just saying, there's a lot of people underestimating Kim Kardashian and what she's capable of. And she
He's
seems
trying to
surprise
stay
people.
out of the areas that she's gone. She's gone.
Dude, there are a lot of dudes who try to stay away from stuff like that. And you know why they don't? Because it is undefeated. All right?
Never lost.
There are nations that have been
Nations that have
been
crumbled.
toppled because dudes pursuing that. Okay, what are you talking about? Yeah, we know you should be making smart decisions, but it is undefeated. Okay, and it might cause Tom Brady to slip a little bit. That's all I'm saying, because it's caused a lot of men to slip a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
And if you're gonna slip,
I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say, nah, not today. Not my man Tom Brady.
all right, you're gonna be surprised. It coming out of TMZ in a couple of months, I'll be like, I told y'all, it's undefeated. What do you mean? Like, Tom Brady, he's classier than that. So was Bill Clinton. It doesn't matter. Like,
Was he?
It's undefeated. Well, I don't know. Well, it was the White House.
Hey, I'll tell you this.
It's only unbecoming of the office.
Well,
of
there's
the,
been a lot of that.
the office of the president.
Hey, I'll
There's
tell
been
you,
a lot
if
of
it
that.
does happen, there's going to be NDAs on both sides,
That
and no
is
one will
true.
ever know.
That's
Exactly.
exactly. That's why I think it may have already happened. Y'all just don't know. All right, because I wouldn't let nobody know. Keep it on the down low.
Keep it on the
All right, we'll come
down
back.
low.
We got NBA playoff preview, Lakers versus Nuggets, and we'll talk about the NBA lottery tonight. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Top of the charts Tuesday. That's when Patrick plays jams that reached the top of the Billboard charts on this day in history. And this is a very borderline creepy song, and it's only creepy because I can think of the video, which is very creepy.
No, this is just Tom Brady showing up at Kim K's place.
We don't know how close they will be if they become neighbors, but hey, y'all are mocking. I'm telling you, we're going to start hearing more about these stories between Tom Brady and Kim Kardashian. I'm telling you, even if they're not even real, the public loves this kind of stuff. So we want to see more of it. And the New York Post has a source that said a possible tryst is in the air because they said basically he's only human is what it said.
So if we see a giant bust of Tom Brady.
Oh, sorry, she's only human. He's gorgeous is what the source said.
Yeah. So if we see a Tom Brady bust, like from the Hello video, just a weird Tom Brady.
Hey, man, like I said, we'll see. I like the texture says that basically imagine all those BBL women getting in on the TB12 diet. That's true. Yeah. And got BBWs, big, beautiful women, a little thick with it. That's Kim wants to work with the ladies that are kind of thick because she's thick with it. And, you know, Tom Brady's TB12, it does have an athleisure like apparel, like part of the company. And I believe Giselle was designing and also, you know, basically in charge of promoting and marketing the TB12 athleisure side of the company. And now that they're not together, I'm sure she's not designing stuff. And you had an in-house kind of supermodel to help model all of your athleisure TB12 wear. I'm saying maybe you can throw it on Kim. You throw it on Kim. And let Kim do it for a little while.
It does look a little good on it.
But dude, she's got, I don't know, millions. She's a social media following. She might have, she probably has more than Giselle.
Ooh, that's definitely true.
Right?
That's definitely true.
If Tom Brady.
With that whole entire family.
Yeah, be a smart businessman. Yeah. Hey, you say, you know what? I need you to promote TB12 for a while, and I'll let you, all right, get some free promotion that you're dating Tom Brady because it seems like you may be out of men right now to date. You know? Well, not in that capacity, but Kim,
I know what you're saying.
She ain't dating just anybody, right?
Oh, no.
And she's already kind of gone.
Never has.
Never has, right?
Never has.
I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with just anybody.
Kanye
did. So, yeah, after Kanye, and who was it before Kanye? Who we had
Ray J.
that was like the first one. That's sex tape, Ray J. First she Reggie Bush for a while.
Don't forget she had Reggie Bush. She had Chris Humphries.
Miles Austin.
Chris Humphries.
Yeah, so
her list is long.
Yeah, and then obviously lately it's been, who's the guy from Pete Davidson?
Yep.
So she's got like, you know when you go to Wikipedia and then they have to send you to another Wikipedia page because there's too much entries?
Yeah.
Is that what she's got? She got like Kim Kardashian. They're like, go see her.
Go see her. Her exactly. You go see her filmography or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty good. You're right about that. That's exactly what it is. So I think she can't just date anybody. Tom Brady, that would be someone that would still bring headlines and still interest the public.
Yeah.
Because right now she dates somebody, you go, oh man, I don't care. I don't care what Kim's dating. Pete Davidson, I think he got her some buzz for like a couple of days, and everybody was like, nah, we're moving on. She needs the buzz. Tom Brady buzz will last all through football season. Tom Brady dating Kim Kardashian, we'll talk about it all football season.
This is his off year, right?
Huh?
This is his off year?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because he's not going announcing until a year later.
So he can be seen with her in public. With the TB12 stuff.
He's always going to be in Vegas because he's trying to get a team out there. He's trying to be part of the Vegas squad, too.
And I got to make my ex jealous. Giselle's out here banging the taekwondo instructor, whoever he is, jiu-jitsu instructor. Got that dude and some billionaire dude. Or they're also close friends. She's banging dudes in the circle that Tom Brady knows. That's a violation of the G code. We all know it, okay? So Tom Brady's got to get back at her. And the best way to get back at your ex, bang Kim Kardashian.
Especially,
we all know this.
Especially
that
if
would upset any woman out there.
No, this is all it is if Giselle likes watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, just ruin her favorite show.
Then Tom Brady's going on the show.
That's it. That's all
I know
she's
watching.
Oh my goodness.
You are sick. You are sick, Patrick, and I love it. All right, let's get to
that is actually great.
NBA. See, now you want it. You want it to happen.
Now I kind of want it to happen. You didn't talk me into it. Now I'm like, I'm gonna watch this. This is gonna be my reality show.
And think about it. The Kardashians, I think they're now on like Hulu or something. They're on a different like network or streaming platform. Their ratings would go through the roof because everybody went for the Tom Brady episode. There's a rumor he's going to be on an episode. People would watch it every damn week just to see Tom Brady on there. Come on. You're welcome, America. You're welcome.
Yeah,
I watch enough
Rob,
trash TV.
You know he's going to talk it into existence.
Oh, man.
Manifested.
I can't wait.
Manifested.
It is going to happen. All right. Hopefully, my prediction that the Lakers are going to win, not in 5, like the legend Mark Henry said. I do think the Lakers are going to win the series, though. But I will admit, Denver's a better team. Denver Nuggets are a better team. This is why this matchup is so compelling, guys. You got the number 1 seed in the West versus the team that barely made it via the play-in.
Right.
The Lakers trying to make it. You got the best team in the West based on they were the number 1 seed versus the hottest team because there's the obviously the West number 1 seed. Denver Nuggets have the best record in the West, but the Lakers have basically been the best team in the West since the All-Star break.
Yes.
And since they made all their moves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got a blue blood in the Lakers versus a team in the Nuggets who I don't even believe has been to the finals ever in the history of their organization.
I think they won one finals, but I don't even know if it was real. I think it was so long ago, I don't even know if it counted.
I don't
You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if it was real. So
I don't even know
that's a great question. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
That is great. Like you dripped about it.
It was man, I don't even know if that's real.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the Nuggets have never reached the NBA Finals.
Okay.
Yep.
See,
So, no, it wasn't real.
It wasn't real.
It wasn't real.
There's 6 teams who have never reached it. The Clippers, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Hornets, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans have never reached the NBA Finals.
And this team has been around a lot longer than any of those other ones, right?
Definitely
The
more
Nuggets
than the
have
Pelicans and the Hornets.
Yeah, because the Hornets are a very new franchise. Pelicans are pretty new. Grizzlies are part of that franchise that came in with the Raptors.
They were Vancouver.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, the Nuggets are probably the longest tenured team that's out there. So,
and getting back to the matchup, gentlemen, thank you for the accuracy there, the correction there, Patrick. So the Nuggets also have scored 118.7 points per 100 possessions, gentlemen, through the first 2 rounds of the NBA playoffs. That's the best in the league and best, obviously, in the playoffs, I should say. And they've done it versus Minnesota and Phoenix, who are 2 top 10 defenses. They're no scrub defenses. And the Lakers, on the flip side of that, they have allowed just 106.5 points per 100 possessions, and that is the best mark in the playoffs defensively. So you're talking about the highest offensive efficiency ranking for the Nuggets in the playoffs, and the highest defensive efficiency ranking for the Lakers in the playoffs. Best defense versus the best offense.
So here's my question for Lakers, and I'm pulling for the Lakers to win this, and I want them to be out of there. I mean, I want them to be able to go to the finals, like Mark said, going up against whoever comes out of the East. But I sit here and I look at how are they going to match up against the Nuggets? Who's going to guard who? And who's going to be the most effective? Jamal Murray is playing at an all-time high right now. Who is going to guard him? Who's going to guard Michael Porter, who's very athletic as well? So we could talk about LeBron, we can talk about Anthony Davis, but after those 2, who is going to be the people that are going to step up? We saw Austin Reeves that are there. Who's he going to guard on that team? Caldwell Pope. Caldwell Pope is coming in on a mission because let's not forget the Lakers got rid of him. So he's got something to say about that too. And lately he's been playing really, really good basketball. And then you look at Aaron Gordon. We didn't even talk about him. You see how effective he's been throughout the playoffs.
They're deep.
Where is the matchups that the Lakers are going to favor? Is LeBron going to guard Aaron Gordon? I don't know. Maybe he's probably the biggest one that can physically do it. AD is which game is AD going to play well and not play well the next game? Alternate Davis. We need to figure that out too. So I'm worried about how this matchup is going to filter throughout not just game 1, but all the way through game 7. I mean, if it goes that far.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to have to worry about guys just playing physical. I think defensively for the Lakers, we're going to see them do a lot of what they did against the Warriors, which is play back a little bit and try and make Denver hit threes. Denver's not a great three-point shooting team. They can hit them, but they didn't shoot great in the last series against Phoenix. They didn't have to. They were attacking the rim. But if you're able to sit back and have Anthony Davis. Now, the big difference is Anthony Davis cannot step back from Jokic. Like, you have to body Jokic the entire time. So you have to then put in somebody else to body Jokic, because if you allow him to stand right at the paint, you're giving him 2 points every single time down the court, right?
Too easy.
So you have to put somebody on him to try and get him so he doesn't get immediate post position every single play down the court. So that's the question of, can you still do that and have Anthony Davis be able to be help defense and not have them just pass it to Jokic and then he dunks it or does whatever he's going to do. But you have LeBron and AD, basically the game plan in the last series was to be rim protectors. They did it really well, and once they made it harder for Golden State to get to the basket, they shot threes. They had open threes. They just couldn't hit them.
Yeah.
And you're going to do that against Denver because Aaron Gordon will take threes, and he can hit them, but he's not a high percentage shooter. Jamal Murray can be hit or miss. Jokic can do it too, but he's not, like, none of them are 40% shooters. So if you're going to go out there and say they're going to shoot 25 to 30% from three, you'll take that as the Lakers because that's a victory for you. And then you just have to come back down and score. And that's where you want to run the court because they have some young guys who can run, but defensively they don't necessarily run as great. So that's where you're going to try and spread the court and get, you could see Schroeder come in a little bit more because he's probably going to be guarding Jamal Murray. I would assume they're going to try and use him in that way they used him to guard Steph Curry, to try and limit Jamal Murray a little bit more in this series. So I think really you're going to slow down Jamal Murray and try and make Denver a three-point shooting team.
Smart.
And hope they don't hit. That's what I assume you're going to do defensively, at least in game one.
Yeah, if they hit,
and if they hit, you got to change it up.
Adjust, yeah.
But the big question is, can you do that? Can you be small enough to guard their guys, but also big enough to let Anthony Davis be a help defender to when Jokic is just basically, if he's standing 2 feet from the basket, I get it's hard to get the ball inside and you can front him and all that other stuff, but it's just Jokic is just really, really good.
He is,
and you cannot,
really good.
You cannot let him constantly get position on the block without giving him any pressure, or else it's going to be too many easy points for him.
Yeah, you're talking about the best player arguably in the NBA right now.
Yes.
In his prime.
Hey, I can tell you this. If you look at MVP voting, the other guys are out.
That's true. And he didn't make all NBA first team. Remember that?
Nope.
Now that's, I don't know. That's probably that's more shameful than the MVP thing.
It was, but I mean, it's because there was one center position and they gave it to him because he's the MVP. That's the reason it is. But it's still, that's why they also changed the rule going into next year.
Yeah, but exactly. But did this guy need extra motivation? Right?
No.
Now you just gave him some.
Exactly. No, we saw Mark Jackson have to come out and apologize for not putting Jokic on his MVP ballot.
He should have kept that to himself. I guess maybe he thought he would have been outed, but
yeah, I don't know.
But he's a stand-up guy.
He's a stand-up guy. Good for him. But ooh, that's cringeworthy. That's cringeworthy, man.
Yeah,
that's straight up cringeworthy on that one. He should know. She also said, "I'm suspending myself for like 1 or 2 years from it." Just so you know, he should have did that. Like,
no, he ain't gonna do that.
You should, because that's what it deserves. Like that's what it warrants.
To not have
him
on the ballot at all.
On the ballot at all?
No, he's just he's a front. Come on, man. Watch him play.
Nah, I agree. Anyway, getting back to the matchup here, gentlemen. Here's something else to watch. Getting kind of piggyback on Patrick's point about the Lakers are going to guard the paint and they're going to force Denver to beat them via the three-point line, and then they'll adjust if that is the case. Denver has taken 53% of their shots in the paint in the playoffs, highest rate of any team in the playoffs. They're hitting damn near, actually, a little over 57% of those shots. When the Lakers are allowing teams to shoot 50%, actually around 51% in the paint, second lowest, so they're pretty good in defense. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size. But when AD is on the floor, teams are only shooting 47% in the paint against the Lakers. He is the difference maker. So I'm gonna go with the Lakers, and I think the Nuggets are a better team. And they're deeper, no question about it. I'm gonna go with AD and LeBron, and the presence of AD going up against Jokic. And it's really Jokic's defense. Can he actually, and this is when AD needs to be more consistent, but Nikola Jokic, he's obviously a great all-around player, but AD has shown the ability to score against Jokic in the past when he's going up against him. Now, they haven't had a ton of interaction, but AD is 4-1 against Jokic in the playoffs, 14-11 versus Jokic in the regular season. And he has, obviously won his fair share of those. He does have an offensive game that gives Jokic problems defensively because Jokic is not very athletic.
Yeah.
He's a great player, but he's not overly athletic. And AD is all freakish athleticism and range and length. And sometimes for Jokic, that's a bit of a tough matchup, seeing that package in a big man. Because there ain't many of them in the NBA like that.
Are we going to get concussioned Anthony Davis, or are we going to get the one that's going to go out there and say, this is my time to go at a guy that, like the Joker, who is averaging a triple-double throughout this time, and looking at these teams, and to me, I just don't know if Anthony Davis has the heart to be able to do this.
You don't think he got that dog in him?
I don't think he
does.
does. I don't think he does.
If he don't, then they won't win.
But that's why I believe that this has got to be the best series for LeBron James. I think LeBron James has to show the king where he puts his crown on all the time. He's got to be able to go out there and play at a very high level for as many games as this thing goes.
I treat LeBron kind of how he used to treat Brady and Belichick. We know it's going to end, of course.
Yeah.
But he's 10-1 in conference finals series.
Yeah.
I just bet on LeBron until, he lets me down.
Until he lets you down.
Because it's a safer bet.
And I know it doesn't sound like I'm going for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I'm going for the Lakers.
But Nuggets are a better team.
Exactly.
And they're a deeper team. But you're like me. It's like, I don't pick against LeBron I don't pick against GOATs very often.
No, it's kind of hard to do that, right?
Yeah, I usually just pick the GOAT. And most of the time, I'm all right. And the last time I picked against the GOAT, I think I picked against a young GOAT in Patrick Mahomes in that actually in the game against, what was it, the last Super Bowl they had?
The one that got
Eagles. So I picked Eagles.
Yep,
I picked
yep,
Eagles.
yep.
I picked against the young GOAT. I screwed up. Should have picked the young GOAT.
Yeah.
All right, this is the way it is. And I picked against Tom Brady and the Bucks when they went up against Patrick Mahomes. I picked Patrick Mahomes, and I picked against the GOAT. So I've learned my lesson. Picking against GOATs is just not smart. Pick the GOAT. And then
you could be all right if they
don't. We'd be like, and most of the time I'll win right.
Exactly,
It's okay.
Exactly.
I don't feel terrible about myself. So I understand because I think most of the spec text line, Nuggets in 6, no joke. And I had another texter who said that Nuggets are going to destroy the Lakers. I get that. I can see how that happens.
We're gonna have to see. Like again, Rui Hachimura in this series. Is Rui Hachimura going to be able to be a defensive stalwart against Jokic? Because he is basically the only big body on your bench you can trust on the offensive end, right?
Yeah.
So he's the only other big body other than Anthony Davis that you can trust off of your bench. Mo Bamba, they're saying didn't even practice with the team today or yesterday, so he's probably not going to be able to play.
Tristan
Thompson, we saw him play in that game, and boy, didn't look like he'd seen a basketball. Like he looked like when he went out there, he was like, "Oh, please have my shorts on."
He was hanging out with the other.
I didn't have my jersey on under this.
He's a full-on Kardashian.
Yeah,
now.
he's a Kardashian. He wasn't worried about that.
So I mean, you basically have to go. Can he bump with Jokic over and over, not get in foul trouble? Because we saw in that last series too, Vanderbilt can play some defense, but his offensive
he's a
problems.
liability.
And once you get into these series where it's 5 versus 5 and it's on one end of the court, 4 versus 5, and they go, no, you're wide open every single time.
Yeah.
They let you beat us. Those guys become a problem. So when you put out a Tristan Thompson, they go, cool, all right. We don't really have to guard him.
Makes you easier to defend.
And that's so when you have an Aaron Gordon, I think you're going to see a lot for Denver. A lot of this game is going to come down to Denver going to the paint hard with an Aaron Gordon, with Jokic, with the Jamal Murray, trying to challenge the shot blockers of the Lakers. And if the Lakers play good, don't get in foul trouble, get shot blocks, then they have a really good shot to win this game 1. But you have to be able to do that without getting in foul trouble and also being able to help on the next guy over, because this Denver team's really good at driving. And right when you collapse on him, kicks it right over to Aaron Gordon or kicks it over to Jokic, and it's an easy dunk.
That's what I'm hoping for the Lakers, because they just went up against the best passing team. Mark Henry talked about this too in the league, which was the Warriors. Did a really good job of being able to anticipate, those passing lanes and the different cuts and the screens. And if they can do that versus the Denver Nuggets, because they're really good, because they can swing the basketball a ton of different ways, because they got a big man who they can run the offense through. They can just run it through a point post, if you will, through Jokic. If they can find a way defensively to neutralize the passing attack for the Nuggets, the Lakers got a shot. I understand the Nuggets are a deeper team, and I do think they are a better team overall. But, man, sometimes in the NBA it's about the team that's hot. And the Lakers are hot. They hot.
Yeah, they're pushing the envelope.
They're hot,
and
man.
I'm
But so is Denver.
Yes.
Denver is hot. The Lakers are hotter because Denver's just been good. Denver is more good than hot. The Lakers literally got hot. This was a
Yeah,
team
yeah,
that
I
nobody
got
even expected to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
And
somebody
then-
said that they were 13th of 15 teams at the trade deadline.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So they got hot, and they've just continued to stay hot. So I agree that Denver is good, and yes, they're warm. But, man, the Lakers are sizzling.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the reality, too, is if the Nuggets hit three-pointers, I mean, this could be a sweep. That's the reality of it. If you hit threes, the Lakers have zero chance to win this series because
They don't have anybody that can match
their
that.
game plan is we have to keep them out from the paint. It's a good game plan. It worked against the Warriors.
Yep.
We're the best three-point shooting team. So odds are it will work against the Nuggets as well.
Not every game, but
Not every game, but but it'll work. So, but you're like, if they hit threes, you don't really have much of a shot because you can't come out on them because then they're just going to drive the paint and kill you too.
Yep.
And I do wonder with the altitude, I'm not saying it's going to be a huge factor, but it will be a factor because it always is, especially when the Lakers want to run or if Denver is
And want
forced.
to play 40 minutes a game.
And exactly when your stars, your older, veteran, aging stars got to play a long time. Do we think the Lakers go deeper into the bench just a little bit, just to throw some bodies out there to give their stars a little extra rest time? And LeBron, LeBron's putting himself back in games now.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's taking himself out of games.
He sat
Like,
down for like a minute
didn't
and a
even sit
half.
down.
He didn't even sit. He
walked
just
to the
walked
bench,
up, got some water,
walked
came
out,
back in
put his
there.
hands on his hips, walked back out. It was like, yeah. So that it could end up coming back to haunt him, going up against a Denver Nuggets team that's really deep, and you got to play at altitude, and you're just an aging superstar. So I do wonder if you'll see the Lakers just try to play more guys early on in the game when they do have control of the game, to try to make sure by the fourth quarter that their guys are fresh. Because I think that the Lakers are going to need LeBron and AD to play hellacious minutes. I'm
Yes.
talking about the most minutes they
AD
probably
has to play the best basketball of his career
and the
this
most
series. Yeah.
and maybe the most.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And
We didn't talk about officiating, too.
yeah,
You
we
know
can
what I'm
get into
saying?
that.
So we need to see how the officials are going to either let them be physical or they're going to call ticky-tack fouls. Because if they let them play physical,
Advantage to who?
advantage, I think, to LeBron and them because they're going to be in the paint as well.
And they want to play
They're
defense.
going to be attacking.
And
they're going to be
they're a defensive team.
They
so
want to force
they
out.
would love to bang around. Let them play.
Yep.
I mean, I'm with you. I think the Lakers have that advantage because then you can really start to throw some bows.
Yes. And what's
and
Vanderbilt, too?
establish
Vanderbilt's
yourself.
going to be my X factor.
Okay.
Is he going to be able to go out there and play defense? He may be the one that's going to end up guarding Jamal Murray.
That's the thing is he just got to play offense.
Yeah.
Because his problem was he couldn't stay on the floor because he couldn't play on the offensive end, and that's when Schroeder started to come in
Yep.
and play really
Yep.
good. And then I don't think we mentioned this on the show yet. The worst officiating job in history to throw him out instead of Draymond Green in that game. And I get the Lakers still won, but when he held a ball into a guy's face and got the guy thrown out. Can we stop babying Draymond Green on that one? I know he's out of he's fishing right now, but
Yeah.
still, that was horrible.
Yeah. No, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really good series. I think you'll get 6. Hell, a lot of people are predicting 7 games. Anything can happen in a 7-game series. We come back. We'll talk about the NBA lottery during Rod's rant of the day. The NBA lottery happening tonight. You got 2 Texas teams. Along with Detroit, Houston, and San Antonio, of course, that do have the best overall odds to get the top overall pick. We'll talk about who the top overall pick will be, Victor Wembanyama, and we'll get into that. And we'll talk about lottery luck, the luckiest and unluckiest teams in the history of the NBA lottery. You know I went rabbit holing. I got the numbers. We'll talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about our good friends over at Alpha Leasing because they want to be your friends, too. As a matter of fact, don't you want to buy your cars or lease your cars from friends? That's what Alpha Leasing is all about. Scott Crosser said, hey, their business model is all about making friends. They let the car business take care of itself because that's what car buying is all about. It's all about trusting the person that you're buying that car from or leasing that car from and trusting that process. And that's what Alpha Leasing is all about, putting the customer first and making sure that you you get the car you want and you get the most bang for your buck. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And all it takes is one phone call, 512-346-9977, and they can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car you want. And like I said, it's pretty simple. And the man that knows all about that is my man Harge.
It is very simple. All you have to do is go over to appleleasing.com and you can click on make it easy for me to easy lease. And it's so easy for you because you can lease a new car, you can lease a used car, but you can get the car that you want. I loved it so much. I reached out to them and I've leased 3 cars from them, and you can do the same. He always talks about leasing cars and making friends, and that's what it's all about. All you have to do is reach out, get the car that you want, and get it set up at the price that you want. And one of the main things that everybody always talks about is, what if I get charged to go over my lease limit, or do I get charged for terminating my lease? They set up a plan for you and they work with you. The best thing for you to do is call 512-346-9977 or go online to appleleasing.com. They will walk you through the process. They make it easy. And as I said, he's leasing cars and making friends. Appleleasing.com. Just go to appleleasing.com today.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I want to talk about the NBA Draft Lottery, which is tonight, and a lot of Spurs fans out there really excited because Spurs fans, along with Rockets fans and Detroit Pistons fans, they actually have the best overall odds to get the number one overall pick. Also, just throwing it out there, for Texas teams, this is a special day period because this is the first time this postseason was the first postseason since there have been 3 NBA teams in the state of Texas that none of them made the NBA playoffs. So made the NBA lottery, all about keeping hope alive and about the future of all these Texas teams. And 2 of them have a chance to, at least they have the best odds to get the number 1 overall pick and acquire a generational talent in Victor Wembanyama. And we'll go into some detail about Victor Wembanyama here in just a second. 19 years old, who's at this point 7'4", 7'5". I've seen both listed. He is a special kind of unicorn and freak, and we'll get to that here in a second. But I want to get to some research that I did about the 38 lotteries the NBA has had so far since 1985. They've enacted the lottery system, and based on obviously the record, based on the record, that's how they determine the best odds are the odds in the NBA lottery. And after that, obviously, you need a lot of luck on your side. You need lady luck on your side. So I basically want to examine lottery luck and what teams had the most luck. And you take the relative, basically the record of the team, all right, their record based on where they finished that year, and then take the lottery, all right, whatever their lottery odds and their lottery slot was that they won in the NBA draft lottery, and what was the net gain or loss, all right? So where their record has them at, and then basically how many net draft slots they gained or lost relative to their record. The luckiest team in the NBA lottery since 1985 that has the most net gains based on, or at least relative to their record, the Philadelphia 76ers, plus 24 since 1985, which means the lottery has basically been kinder to them. They've had more lottery luck in the NBA lottery than any other team, and they've actually been in the lottery a ton too. The Charlotte Hornets are second at plus 14. The Lakers are third at plus 9. Cleveland Cavaliers are tied with the Spurs, the Pelicans, and the Supersonics at plus 6. And if you want to know where the Rockets are kind of way down on this thing. The Rockets are plus 1. Rockets have not had a ton of lottery luck. Spurs, they're still in the top 5 up there, at least tied in the top 5. So the next phase was how many times a team's draft position improved and how many times it got worse. Because sometimes the lottery is not kind. You don't have great lottery luck.
Right.
Like if it had been based on record, you might have been in a better position. When the Dallas Mavs got Luka, that kind of stuff. Like some people end up, or some teams I should say, end up really lucky in the draft lottery, and sometimes they end up unlucky in the draft lottery. Philadelphia 76ers still top team when it comes to NBA draft lottery luck. They've moved up 8 times. The second team that's moved up, the second most times upward movement in the NBA draft lottery, San Antonio Spurs. They're tied with the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Philadelphia 76ers.
Don't get Patrick all excited.
Hey, we're about to have one more to it.
Guys, the 76ers have only had to move down because of the draft lottery being slotted lower than their actual relative to their record once. Spurs, 0 times. Spurs are the only team on this, out of all the NBA teams, that's never had downward movement at all based on the NBA draft lottery relative to their record.
Hey, let's keep that going.
The Lakers have had it once. So Lakers are pretty good too. They're just like the Spurs. They've had upward movement 3 times, but only went down, or at least been slotted below their relative record only once. So Lakers got a lot of good lottery luck too. All right, and now we're looking at average gain loss per lottery appearance. All right, so per lottery appearance. Because the Lakers have had 7 lottery appearances, and they're basically, if you look at their +9 net gain, they're leading the pack now, plus 1.28 average gain and loss per lottery appearance. 76ers are second. They've been in the lottery 19 times. That ain't good. That's too much. They got a plus 1.26 average gain or loss per lottery appearance. And their overall net gains, plus 24. Remember, they're at the most net gains overall because of draft lottery luck. And then third overall, best luck overall and average gain loss per lottery appearance, the Spurs. They're at plus 6 net gain loss, and they had 6 lottery appearances, and nobody's probably had more bang for their buck in lottery appearances than the Spurs, but they're at plus 1. So only 2 teams have had better luck in the draft overall. If you're looking at gains, losses, and if you also are looking at upward movement and downward movement of the draft lottery slot selection relative to their actual record, the Spurs have the 3rd best lottery luck overall, behind the 76ers and behind the Lakers. Wow. So when the Spurs are in the lottery, and they are in the lottery this year, again, nobody's got better luck, arguably, than them. And they don't have to worry about the Lakers or the 76ers because they are in the lottery right now. So the Spurs, just throwing it out there, based on recent history, Lady Luck loves them damn Spurs.
Hey, that's a good thing.
So
it's a good thing. Look, here's the thing. We don't call on it very much. I mean, we had, a 20-something year span where we made the playoffs every year?
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, they've only been in the lottery 6 times.
That's what I'm saying.
And you had, David Robinson. Wasn't he a lottery pick?
Yeah, because it helped him out because David Robinson, remember, he couldn't join the Spurs for like 2 years.
Because of the Navy.
So he could finish up his commitment to the Navy. Yep. And in that time, they also were bad enough to get another lottery.
They got Sean Elliott from there,
They
right?
got Sean, I believe so.
I think Sean Elliott was during that time.
You got that other part where you were bad again.
And
you got Tim Duncan.
Yeah. Then you get Pop and Tim Duncan because Pop leaves the front office then.
Because he knew he was going to get that pick.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I might be able to start a dynasty with this group. And smart move. So they've had a ton of luck. But they've had the fewest amount of lottery appearances, I believe.
Yep.
Out of all these teams. They've had the fewest lottery. The Lakers have had the second few. Lakers have had 7 lottery appearances. The Spurs have had 6.
So, okay, let me ask you this.
There's teams, like Orlando's had 4 in the 4 years.
Let me find Orlando.
Cleveland had a couple where they won
every year.
ball.
Orlando's had 22.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Your odds are better if you do it less.
The Clippers have had 25 lottery appearances. I believe that's the most.
It's got to be. I don't.
Yeah, that's
they
the most.
Bounced around from different locations
Golden
as well.
State's had 23. Golden State's got no draft lottery luck at all. Like basically only 4 teams. I'll take it back. Only 5 teams are worse than Golden State.
Yeah, I'll give them some. They got some luck in the draft when Minnesota needed a point guard and drafted Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn over Steph Curry. So I think they got lucky there.
Yeah,
no,
that's
you're right
a good
about
point.
that. And this is the point out the Miami Heat. No lottery luck at all. If you look at just the Nets and gains, they are 28th. The Mavs are worse, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are worse in terms of net gains. They're -11, and the Mavs are -12. If you go look at upward movement and downward movement in the draft relative to your record, they are, once again, 28th. Only Sacramento and Minnesota are worse in that category. And if you go look at just overall gain loss per lottery appearance, they're last. They're dead last. The Mavs are ahead of them at 29th, and then they're 30th. And I think 31 because I believe they put the Sonics on here with this one. They did like the Supersonics on here too.
Yeah.
But still, they have no lottery luck, and look at where they are. That's just front office, basically front office prowess because that's Pat Riley and great coaching by Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
And that's why they've been so successful.
Yeah, I mean, again, you got Dwayne Wade in one of those picks, and when he was 5, Dwayne Wade fell to you because that was the LeBron, Carmelo Anthony, Darko Milicic, and Chris Bosh all went before him. Which there's Hall of Famers in that group, but
not
you get
Darko.
Dwayne Wade,
not Darko though,
not Darko,
but still.
But you still got you take Dwayne Wade over Carmelo Anthony. You take Dwayne Wade over Chris Bosh. LeBron's the only guy you don't. So he
Okay.
technically, if you redraft that, he's the number 2 pick in that draft.
Yeah.
And got the end of Shaq's career right when you needed to get that.
Yeah.
Man, you squeeze
Right. You got a dub out of
You
there.
squeezed
Got a
all the little
championship.
juice that Shaq had left and got that championship, and then made the LeBron move. Won the LeBron sweepstakes.
Yep.
I mean, that's hard to do. That was actually might be the most.
But
that
part
might
of
be the
that-
most impressive feat of the front
But
office
part of
so
that
far.
was setting themselves up where they had Dwayne Wade and a bunch of cap room.
That is true.
And we're still a competitive team with a good coach and a good culture, and we're able to put it together.
And that goes to the front office and Pat Riley and what he's done. It's been unbelievable. I love this texture, though. Ended on this. The Spurs don't call on the lady that often, but when they do, she be a coming.
No doubt. No doubt. And
Lady
speaking,
Luck.
and
Luck
speaking
the
on Lady
Spurs.
Luck and what you might be looking at, Victor Wembanyama Yama had 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks today in his basketball game. So
Yeah, because they had the playoff game, right? Is it a championship game?
I don't know if it was
It's a
the championship.
It's a playoff game, though.
They
for
are
them.
heading into the playoffs. It was the last
It
regular
was the last
season
regular
game.
season game. Okay.
Yeah, so he went out there and balled out for you, Patrick. So just in case you were wondering. And also, if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, the person that will be representing your team tonight on the stage will be Peter J. Holt, the managing partner, who is what, Patrick?
He is Peter Holt's kid. So if you're an old school Spurs fan and you remember Peter Holt, the owner of the Spurs, he has passed that down. He passed down the running it to his wife. His wife has now passed it down to their son, Peter J. Holt.
Keeping
so if you're
it
a
in the
current Spurs
family.
fan, you probably know that. If you're an old school Spurs fan, you remember the old Peter Holt. Peter J. Holt is the son of Peter Holt.
There you go.
Like that. All right, we come back. We'll talk about Victor Wembanyama, who is going to be the number 1 overall draft pick in the upcoming NBA draft. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Local and Rod Vapors here. Let me tell you about my good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. Good folks at Ironworkers Local 482 are right now looking for 3,000 people for a huge project that they are right now conducting in Central Texas. And you can become one of these valued members of the Ironworkers Local Union 482 team. If you're looking for an exciting new career and you're looking for something challenging, something new, something fresh, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. You can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Top of the charts Tuesday is when Patrick plays jams that reach the top of the Billboard charts on this day in history. And this day will go down in history. And it may be really good history for either the Spurs or the Rockets or whatever team ends up getting the number 1 overall pick. And it is it is a done deal. It is already written. Who they will draft with the number 1 overall pick. Whoever wins the NBA draft lottery tonight, they're going to draft Victor Wembanyama. He has been called a generational talent. Gentlemen, there's a quote from my man CB sent this to us. Shout out to my man CB at Chris GB 002,000 from Adrian Wojnarowski. He the one that drops the Woj bombs, and he is saying that Victor Wembanyama is the most highly anticipated player to ever enter the NBA. Maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports. Team sports is what he said. That is crazy, but when you start looking at some of the dimensions of this young man, he is indeed a unicorn. He is 7'4" or 7'5", depending on
what
publication you're looking
Yeah.
at. 7'9" wingspan. That's one of the longest wingspans in NBA history. At least it will be when he gets to the NBA. I think he's 19 now. I just love his upbringing. There's a very much a Shohei Ohtani-like feel to his upbringing where all of these different steps in his life seem to have been terraforming his skill set for this exact moment. His dad is a 6'6" long jumping track coach. He was a former competitive long jumper, but now he's a track coach. His mom, Elodie, his dad's name is Felix, by the way. His mom, Elodie, 6'3", Harge, and she is a former pro basketball player, and now she is also a coach. They describe her as a basketball addict.
Yup.
So he was immersed in the game. His brother is 6'6". Oscar plays basketball. His sister, Eve, 6'1". She makes Rob B look like a scrub. She plays pro basketball. And you go look at it as 7'5", he moves like a smaller, or he moves like a wing, like a true wing. Right. And a lot of that is because his father, and they said in this piece I read, intentionally was basically training his body as he grew to obviously a 7'4", 7'5" basketball player. But usually those guys look awkward, and usually they almost look like a baby giraffe trying to move around. Not him. He moves fluidly, and he is smooth because his dad's been training him as a track coach how to run, and his body mechanics actually match up with his size.
Kinesiology.
Exactly. Something we just haven't. I've never seen it before. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's smooth. And if you hadn't seen him play and you don't know who we're talking about, go to my Twitter page at Hardball Harge, and I retweeted a video of him today playing basketball and the effortless movement that he has when he's around the bucket. He did a Euro step around someone away from the bucket and dunked it on him. Like, he was so far away. I'm like, how did he even get close enough to be able to dunk it? Oh, my bad. He's got a wingspan that's unbelievable, and he dunked it while he was away from the rim. It is something to behold. And again, the one thing that I continue to worry about, not really worry about, but I'm trying to figure this out, the physicality and if he's going to be able to play that physical brand of basketball. That's but fair. As we talk about it, how physical is the NBA game in the first place? I don't think it is as physical. We're not playing when the Detroit Pistons were playing, where they were knocking people out all the time. I don't think a lot of guys are that physical in the NBA right now, so he might come in and fit in perfectly.
Yeah, and there's also points. If you play face to the basket, there's a lot less you can do physicality to him, because you put a hand on him, now it's a penalty. So there's a lot more to it. If you play back to the basket, that is something where it's, you do have to have a little bit more size on you, because, there's a lot more they can do to turn you around and you're fighting for position. If he's someone with the ball handling he has where he can drive the basket more than trying to post up on it, it changes what the physicality you can have, because trying to be able to have you have to be close enough, because he's 7'5", to get a hand
in his face.
Yeah.
Not going to block the shot.
Yeah. So there's just a lot to it that it makes hard. I'll also say there is some other really good prospects. Scoot Henderson is going to be a really good player in the NBA as well from G League Ignite. He is projected to probably be the second overall pick. The other name, Brandon Miller from Alabama, who we know had some issues this season, but is a really, really good basketball player.
Yeah.
Those are probably your second and third pick, depending on what teams go there, what they need. But both those guys are going to be really good NBA players as well.
So
Yeah,
my question to you was going to be that, Patrick, if for some reason the Spurs and Lady Luck doesn't fall on your side, will you be okay with a Scoot Henderson?
No,
being
I'm quitting. I'm walking away. No. Like, and I think there's you have to look at what you get. I'd probably go with the Brandon Miller over a Scoot Henderson, just in my brain of mind.
I like it.
Size is just such a big thing in the NBA, and it's a lot harder to find 6'9" guys and 6'8" small forwards than it is to find a shooting guard. Scoot Henderson is a better player right now than Brandon Miller is, but you just size is just so important. But we don't have to have this conversation because Victor Wembanyama is going to the Spurs.
Hey, you know what? And if he doesn't go to the Rockets, hey, I'm all about him going to the Spurs, man. Because either way, we get to cover him. So that's what I'm all about. If he's going to be as good as everyone is expecting him to be. Okay, we come back. We'll talk more about that. We're going to bump some of our other stuff because I want to talk some more NBA and talk about Victor Wembanyama and the NBA lottery. We'll come back and do that. Also, we'll squeeze in some Texas football conversation as well on the other side. An analyst saying Texas could be the most dangerous team in college football. We'll discuss right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I'm not going to lie. This song still jams. I ain't gonna lie. I was just listening
Just
to
get
it.
you moving right
It
here,
really
y'all.
gets
Just get
that
you
moving.
moving, dog.
I was like, I'm moving. I don't even know why I'm
Yeah.
moving. I don't think you can listen to this jam and not move your body a little bit, man.
I agree.
Wow, good stuff
I agree.
there. Yeah, man. What year is this? This is like I was still young, so 90. Let's say early 90s. Let's go 92.
No, this is way later than that.
Is it?
Really?
Way later than that.
Wow.
2002?
2002.
Yeah.
Wow, I
You
thought
was
I
10
younger
years
than that.
old.
Yeah, I thought I was way younger than that when this came
Yeah.
out.
Just made you feel younger.
It does make me feel young.
Because it gets you moving.
Gets you moving.
Gets
Okay.
the people going.
We'll get into the NBA lottery, which is happening tonight, and about an hour from now it'll kick off. So we'll start with some discussion about the NBA lottery, at least the NBA lottery's at least the star of the NBA lottery, I should say, which is Victor Wembanyama, because he is supposed to be a generational talent. Woj actually saying, Asian Wojnarowski saying that he potentially could be the greatest prospect in team sports to come out professionally. I know. That seems like could be hyperbole, but we'll tell you why those expectations are ridiculously high for Victor Wembanyama. We'll get into that here in just a second. If we have some time, we'll throw in some Texas football conversation. I want to get into that article from 247 Sports about the most dangerous teams in college football, and the Longhorns are mentioned. If we don't get to that, then we can bump it to next segment while we get into some NBA discussion here. All right, gentlemen, let's talk about Victor Wembanyama, who is supposed to be the number one overall pick in the draft, whenever they have the draft. But the lottery is tonight to determine who has that number one overall pick. The teams with the best odds to have the number one overall pick, the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Detroit Pistons, all with 14% odds to get that number one overall pick. And yes, whoever that is, it'll end up being Victor Wembanyama. What I love about the story, number one, is the genes, right? It's just the genes, period. That's why he's 7'5" or 7'4", whatever you want to say, because man, as Patrick mentioned, there ain't no way that you can, as an organization, to look past size and height, because naturally it just gives you in basketball an advantage, a distinct advantage. And for him, you're talking about 7'5". He'll come into the NBA as one of the tallest players in the history of the NBA. As soon as he comes into the league, he's got a 7'9" wingspan. That also will be one of the longest wingspans in NBA history whenever that becomes official. And the background, though, is probably what's more impressive. So his mom, this is where the height comes from. Mom is 6'3". Her name is Elodie, and she's a former pro basketball player. She has been described as a basketball addict, gentlemen, that she loved the game that much. She was an addict. That's why she is now a basketball coach. So she went from being a former pro player to being a pro coach. That's where his addiction and love of the game comes from. It's actually from mom's side. Actually, it's where your basketball skill comes from, too. Dad's side is just overall athleticism. Dad is Felix. Felix is 6'6", former long jumper, and who also now works as a track coach with young track athletes. Grandfather was Congolese and was 7 foot plus. All right, just as a regular old Joe. Right? I'm not sure his name wasn't Joe, but you get my point. All right, he's a 7 foot man, so it's in the genes. And what I love about it, starting to get into how his background really just it allowed him to evolve into almost the perfect basketball machine. He was a middle child. Brother is 6'6", is a basketball player. Sister 6'1", she's a basketball player. He was sandwiched in between basketball culture. He'd been immersed in it from his mama, because his mom is obsessed with it, and he's been now sandwiched in between it. His mom claims that all she ever cooked for them and made for them was organic food. She claims, this is mom's claim, and basically Victor has disputed this claim. He said she may have exaggerated. Elodie prided herself on giving her children natural and organic food and proclaimed she never, ever made the same dish for them twice. Ooh. We know that's a bunch of BS. Because you want mom's favorite dishes. You know, like, come on, Mom. It's spaghetti's on point. I need the spaghetti.
She's like, no, you get something else. I want you to try everything.
Exactly. So Mom exaggerates a little bit, but it just gets you into the thought about, how they have, with his upbringing, they've been thinking about him in this kind of level of competition, at this level of competition for a while. Because like I said, they were thinking that one of their kids would end up being special in the athletic realm, and it turns out Victor Wembanyama is the guy. Now, when you grow to 7'5", usually you grow awkwardly, and you end up being a lanky, long athlete, but you don't look very coordinated. All right, you can be an athlete, but just not look coordinated. And oftentimes, that's not really the fault of someone who's just 7 foot whatever. They end up looking like a baby giraffe. Not him. The thing that makes his game extra freaky and his athleticism extra freaky is because his dad is a track coach. His dad was basically a pain in his you-know-what. Constantly. He talks about that he couldn't even walk up the stairs without his dad telling him to lift his legs. He said basically Victor was basically training his body, just living with his dad as a track coach. When he was going up the stairs, his father was telling him how to finish his climb. And with his size, I think his parents have been important in his development. So they saw him developing, and they wanted to focus on mechanics.
Yep.
The body mechanics of the running and about how he was able to use his body to weaponize his body, if you will, as a basketball player. And that's a big part of why he looks so fluid at 7'5". Another reason he's so fluid is, and he's kind of freakish, is his handles. Everybody talks about, man, a 7'5" guy, we've never seen a guy this tall be able to handle the rock the way he does.
Yep.
His former basketball coach, I don't know if it's a former, but his youth basketball coach, Kareem Bobekri, he was interviewed, and he grew up a huge fan of Isaiah Thomas and his handles, and also used to watch a lot of And One videotapes, and he also was a big fan of Pistol Pete back in the day. And he would basically instruct all of his players that he was coaching, his this youth basketball players he was coaching, Wembanyama being one of them, that they had to make sure that they did all the same drills, all right, to to obviously enhance their ball handling skills. And they forced Wembanyama, even when he got to the point where he was 6'10",
Yep.
and he was outgrowing the rest of the crew. This guy, Bubekri, said, no, I made him do all the same drills as all the guards. I wanted his handles to be the same as guards. And Bubekri said he didn't mind because Wembanyama didn't want to grow up to be a big man.
Yep.
He had this dysmorphia, if you will. He always thought himself as a skilled guy.
Yep.
And it's like, well, you're growing as a 7-foot person, but you think of yourself as a skilled guy, which is why his handles never fell off. He never lost the skills in the handles because he continued to practice those drills, which is why scouts say he's got the best handles they've ever seen for a guy his size.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of guys who have that, don't ever want to be a big guy because they just don't like playing back to basket. They also don't like, you kind of get knocked into a role, which sucks because a lot of times they're like, well, we're just going to put you down there and you don't get to be a part of the offense anymore. You don't get to create anymore. You don't get to do that. But guys like Kevin Durant was notorious that Kevin Durant's like 7'1", but he would always put in there, he's like, no, 6'11". Kevin Garnett, 6'11". All those guys, when you ever see a guy, you're like, that dude's like 7'1". He's 6'11", because he doesn't want to be a big.
Right.
He said that's a good point about KD. He said KD would lie down about his height.
Yeah, no, a lot of those guys do because once you're 7 foot, you're a 7-footer. You're in the post, you're doing that.
Yeah.
And it's changed now because the game's changed so much. But at the time they were coming up, they're like, if you're a 7-footer, you're a post-up player. And so there's a lot of guys who grew up in that mindset of like, no, I don't want to be that because that's boring. And then guys like Dirk and now Kevin Durant and Kevin Garnett change that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, no, you can be that big and play. So now you get a guy like Wembanyama and everybody's excited to see him. And not everybody's going, well, we got to teach him how to back up.
Great point. It's like the mobile quarterback thing. Yeah.
They should have let Magic Johnson be the trendsetter for it because Magic Johnson's 6'9" playing point guard and dishing and playing better than a small guard.
That's a great point.
I mean, those are some of the times that you went back and you would look at it and say, all right, this dude really can handle the basketball. He can play multiple positions. If he can find a mismatch, he's going to take that mismatch. And that's why when people always talk about nobody wants to talk about foot problems, well, it's either tall. You can have foot problems when you're younger, too. Michael Jordan broke his foot multiple times when he was playing basketball for the Bulls.
The foot and ankle, they always
they always saying that.
Yeah.
And it changes from time to time. But when you start looking at these guys that are playing on the perimeter, that can shoot threes, that can handle the basketball. I mean, you mentioned a couple players, but Anthony Davis was one of those guys. He was one that shot up out of nowhere and became that guy because he was a point guard before. That's why he had the ball skills. That's why he was able to dribble, and then all of a sudden, boom, he shoots up 6-7 inches, and you're like, uh-oh.
What do we do now?
And he was like, well, just keep letting them handle the ball. I remember when my son Michael, my older son, was playing, we were playing in an AAU tournament, and I saw Kyle Anderson playing point guard at like 6'6", 6'7". And I was like, this dude is a point guard, still moving that slow.
Yeah.
He was still moving that slow, but he was handling that rock and was able to distribute. So we've seen guys be able to do that and be able to be that skillful big man, as we were talking about, like Kevin Durant too.
Yeah, no, right. He's a
freak.
He's the modernized version of all of those stories you brought up. Like going back to Magic Johnson, who early in his career, I believe was his rookie year, he played center too. Right, in the playoffs, they put him at center because they needed him for an emergency situation, but also played point guard. So we've been moving closer and closer to positionless basketball. We talk about positionless football all the time. Positionless basketball was way before positionless football.
No doubt.
And he is somebody that embodies that because, a guy who is that size, he's not supposed to be this mobile. He's not supposed to be able to sprint the floor. But he can sprint the floor. It's a freaky thing to watch a 7'5" guy sprint the floor, but he can sprint the floor, and actually, like I said, his dad's a track coach. He doesn't look awkward.
Right.
It is weird to watch it because, like I said, most big guys, they don't have great running form, and they're not always the most coordinated.
Right.
There's still kind of a lanky, like I said, baby giraffe feel to them. Not this dude, man. He's got great coordination, and he's a true skilled big. We talk about Jokic being a skilled big. He's a skilled big, but also a freakishly athletic big. He's both.
Right.
Which is AD and Jokic. Just combine them and then add some KD to that. Sprinkle some KD in there. I think Derrick Rose. Was it Derrick Rose? I believe because they got a lot of stars. Because I wrote down these quotes from all these stars about how great Wembanyama was when they first saw him. LeBron called him an alien. Steph said he's getting cheat code type vibes watching him. Giannis said he'll be one of the best to ever play the game. And I believe it was Derrick Rose who said he reminds me of KD, if I'm not mistaken. It was a star. I'll get that quote, but it was a star that said it reminds me of just KD. He's just a taller, longer KD. And I was like, well, that's scary.
Yeah.
That is scary.
And I don't think he's as offensively proficient as a KD was with all the different weapons and
I think that's the thing is he's a little bit better shooter than KD was early on.
Oh.
But not as great of a scorer. So So that thing where if you put him out at the 3-point line, he can hit some shots. And when you'd watch him play, and he would just basically dribble around a guy and just take a 3-pointer and hit it, and you go, that's hard to do if you're a 6'5". But when you have to talk about how the travel of the ball, the arc of the ball to get it to go in when you're that tall, it's just it's a weirder shot to do. And if you move it all, it just changes all the physics of it. So it's a hard shot to hit. He does it with a lot of ease. So you watch, and for everybody who's asking about injuries, anyone can get hurt in the NBA. It's a professional sport. People get hurt. Kawhi Leonard did not look like he was going to be hurt. He'll probably never be the same player ever again. Joel Embiid was a guy that looked like he was never going to play a full season. He just won MVP. And I know he got knocked out of the playoffs, but he did just win MVP. So there's different sides, and we can say you need a thicker guy. Zion Williamson is thick. He has played like 20 games in his career.
It just we won't know until
you can't pass on a unicorn because maybe down the road they could get hurt. That's backing yourself in a corner because you know what, you can draft Scoot Henderson, who's smaller and a really good player, and you know what, he could get hurt too.
Yeah, that's like not wanting to fall in love because you're scared of getting your heart broke. It's like, who gives a damn? It's gonna happen. You're gonna miss out on the best that has ever happened to you because you're too damn scared of getting your heart broke. Yeah. Hell no, man. We drafted Wembanyama, baby, and we're going all in, baby. We're going all in, man. And we drinking Kool-Aid. We just passed out cups of Kool-Aid, man. You know what's Kool-Aid? Drink that Kool-Aid, baby.
Sip it up.
How many titles? Not one, not two, not three. We drinking that Kool-Aid, and he'll get hurt. No. We'll be like, all right, we'll be sad about it and drink some more.
We're in the NBA now. Now this is what GMs are like. How many contracts is he going to sign? Not one, not two.
That is true. That's a good point. We got to deal with that. But hey, man, we're gonna live it up while we can, especially if the Rockets end up getting that number 1 overall pick. But the Patrick Spurs also hoping that'll be the case. And remember, I told y'all nobody's had better luck in the draft, and I probably didn't have to do the research on that. You probably could go off the eye test if you're an NBA fan.
No doubt.
Nobody's had better luck when they are in the lottery than the freaking Spurs. But they actually have had the fewest times in the lottery of any team in the NBA. So as the texter said, they don't call on Lady Luck very often, but when they do, she be a-coming. And
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but I think they're right about that. Lady Luck knows that if she hooks the Spurs up, that it won't be in vain. That it won't be wasted. And they'll be able to get the most out of that prospect. Go to H-Town, 50-50 shot.
Hey,
Coins
and
off.
I'll also tell you, and Houston's got some picks too. If you look at the Spurs' future picks of what they're going to be able to build with anybody, if you get any of those top 3 guys, what they'll be able to build in the coming years for the Spurs, knowing that they have some picks from a team like Toronto, who may be going into a rebuild, or Charlotte, who, if they don't get this number 1 pick, may be going into a rebuild. Like some of these picks they got coming up in drafts, Atlanta, if this Trey Young experiment doesn't work and they don't know what DeJounte Murray, those could be some decent picks you could be getting in the first round. And if not, they're picks that you can trade off and try and bring in some other talent to play with the young guys you got.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. That's the scary thing. So what team, because let's say that the lottery it defies the odds of the lottery, right? What team that doesn't have great odds to get the number 1 pick would essentially break the NBA?
I mean, you
Would
throw
it be
Dallas.
the Mavs?
You
Yeah,
throw
that's what I'm
Dallas
thinking.
because you put Luka in them on it, but I don't think that breaks it because I don't know if they play together as well as people
Well, you
would
definitely
hope.
got to fire Jason Kidd and get out of here.
Yeah.
At that
Oh,
point.
like, there's gotta be a lot
I'll
that's
say at
gonna
that
happen.
point, every single coach would be like, "Yeah, we'll be there."
Oh, that's true. That's a great point. You would not have any problem hiring. You can steal a coach.
Yeah.
You can go poach a great coach.
We
just
will
'cause you get that
trade
Wemby.
everybody else if we could get you as our coach.
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking about another Portland.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Dame Lillard's been really loyal to them, and there's talk that Dame Lillard might be done with Portland in that experiment. But if you get Wemby, there with a Dame Lillard, that could be pretty dangerous. I don't know
It
if
could be.
like.
I don't know. I just don't trust him to build a franchise
That's true. I don't know
because
if
they're really
yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
And they continue to do this thing where they're like, it's not working. We'll move on. So it's just one of those ones where you'd see it and then go, well, does he leave in 4 years when Dame? And they just go, it didn't work.
I don't disagree with that. That would be interesting because Portland's their odds
It'd
are
be interesting.
Yeah, Portland's not too far off too in the odds, and so that they actually have 10%. They have, I believe it's something like 10% odds for them.
Yeah, it's not a huge but it's better than most. I mean,
Yeah.
you sit
they're
there
fifth,
and look
I
at
believe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're,
yeah, so it's not.
yeah,
that
they're
actually
middle
wouldn't
of the
be-
road.
Yeah, they got a better shot than the Mavs. So the Mavs are just hoping, like Patrick said, to help to basically they want to be inside the top 10 because their protected pick is inside the top 10. That's what they want, and that's first and foremost. And then after that, whatever Lady Luck will provide.
Yeah, and if New Orleans gets it again, everybody's like, come on, man. You can't have everybody on that one team.
What's your conspiracy theory?
Charlotte.
Okay.
Charlotte is the conspiracy theory, and this is just simple, is that
I like it.
Michael Jordan has talked about selling the team, and normally if you're a group of owners that wants to increase your value for everybody, you want to sell the team at the highest value. How do you sell the team at the highest value? You give them the number 1 overall pick in a career franchise guy, and that it makes the team sell for another $1 billion
Easily.
and so it raises everybody's net worth because the valuation of everybody's team goes up. It's kind of what they did with Zion Williamson in New Orleans. It's kind of what they did with like when New Orleans was going up for sales. There was people that, oh wow, you got their 1 pick. Oh,
when it coincides with a generational
it
talent.
does. And now it's all luck. I do not think that the NBA is rigged. I'm not on that conspiracy theory because I understand how much would have to go into it to happen. It just doesn't seem likely that you'd be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
But this is going to add fuel to the
But if Charlotte wins,
conspiracy
I'll
theory.
tell you, that's what I just know. I've
Patrick's
heard,
already got it worked up.
Well,
no,
it
this-
makes sense, though.
Yeah.
This is the reason I have it. Is
Yeah.
because people kept telling me reasons why teams would get it for conspiracy. And I'm like, no other owner or the NBA wants like that one team. It helps them out, but it doesn't really help the NBA.
Right.
This one does.
This helps.
Yeah.
It helps billionaires become richer. That's why it makes sense. It is not a basketball decision whatsoever. It's a
Right.
money decision. That's why it makes
And
sense.
billionaires like money. That
Yes.
is not a conspiracy.
It's not a
Those are
conspiracy.
facts. And they want more of the money.
Yes.
If they can get
I love
NFL,
money.
The NFL's printing money right now, and they still are going to put a playoff game behind a paywall. Those billionaires like
Yeah,
their money.
They do.
they really
they
are.
find another way to get bread.
They're the most watched television product in America. Americans are hooked on their product. Like,
Yep.
let's put it behind a paywall, see if they'll pay for it. Yeah,
And I know they will. Yeah. At least the teams
Uh,
that they want to see, they definitely
Yeah,
will.
because we are at it'll be a playoff game.
Yep.
And they're putting a playoff game on Peacock. It'll be a playoff game. So yeah, there'll be a certain group that really will pay for that. I got Peacock at the house only because my wife is addicted to trash TV. and there's tons of trash TV on Peacock because they're the Bravo
Yeah,
people.
I
can
have
say
Peacock because there's wrestling.
You can say we are addicted to trash TV.
I only watch a couple of the Real Housewives, and I watch Vanderpump Rules. I could give y'all a tremendous breakdown, but y'all don't want it.
No, you got Peacock. Also, wrestling fans all have Peacock.
They will have it.
There you
That's
go.
right.
See,
yeah,
there you go.
because all the
All the wrestling.
the former pay-per-views and stuff are all on Peacock.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can watch all. So the Peacock bought the WWE network, so everything's on there.
There you
So
go.
you can watch all
Peacock's, that's pretty smart. I don't know. I got Peacock. That's one of the many. How many streaming apps do you have access to at your
That's
house?
what I'm saying. It's
I
ridiculous.
got Netflix now.
Yeah.
We got Apple now, Apple TV now. We got Amazon because everybody's got freaking Amazon. It comes with Amazon. We have Hulu only because we're stealing it from my mother-in-law. We have, I got Peacock because my wife she shares an account with her homegirls. They have shared an account now, and they basically just Venmo each other, that's not bad. And I have HBO just because with my cable, Showtime, also Showtime Anytime, and I have Paramount.
We all got it.
Do you got ESPN Plus?
No, I have actually no sports ones at all. Considering this my job, I should have more.
Well, you can
sports
say
and you can
Peacock.
write 'em off,
You
too.
can say Peacock is now a sports one.
Pretty much, yeah, it is now. And Apple TV is too. You can
Yeah.
get
Yeah, Apple
MLS
TV,
on Apple and you
yeah.
get baseball on Apple too.
Yeah.
So actually, every streaming platform now is going to sports because sports and news are the only two things that Americans will watch live. Everything else we stream and we watch it delayed on DVR. We actually will watch sports live and we'll watch news live, and disaster porn we watch live. Those three things are where broadcasters are trying to invest. Sounds crazy, but it's true. All right. We'll talk Texas football on the other side. Why is Texas the most dangerous team in college football? We'll discuss on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, top of the charts Tuesday. Oh, man, this song, I got to tell you, it's one of those songs that feels like torture listening to it. And I
Wait,
do.
what?
It does. This song, to me, is like just razor blades in my ears.
So if we're saying
Yeah.
if this was like if you were in a hostage situation and they were going to try and get you to leave the house, they just play this outside and you're out of the house.
Remember in Guantanamo Bay, they played. No, I'm serious. Yeah,
You just went straight to Guantanamo Bay.
No, it's an historic example. I swear. Didn't they like? It wasn't some of the. Oh, you know what? I probably get myself in trouble here. But I do believe during some of the torture techniques involved music, where they would just play music
Yeah.
when they were
Yeah.
torturing some of the. Yes.
Yeah, I mean you play and repeat, but
That's
that's been an
hilarious.
old school thing. Is they used to do like in standoffs and stuff, they would basically play the same song over and over and over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and just loudspeakers in there because it drives you crazy.
Yes. The CIA used like music
Yeah.
to try to break prisoners.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You know,
That
You
would be,
know.
that would be one of
for
the
you?
songs I would use.
that's
my
what the songs
point.
you would use.
Yes,
You're
that
not
would be
that
one of the
happy?
songs. If I was, I'd be like, yeah, that song would work. That would really break a prisoner. It's just that's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, sorry about that. All right, let's get to some. Let's get to some
Number
low-
one hit single.
I'm sure they're using very popular songs. All right, let's get to some Longhorn football discussion here because I saw this article and it was from I believe it was Horns 24/7, not Horns 24/7, but 247 Sports. I think it's a little bit more accurate. And the article basically was listing who they believe are the most dangerous teams in college football. And I guess what they mean by dangerous teams is the teams that can basically they are in a position to disrupt
Yep.
the college football landscape. It says since 2014, only 14 different teams have reached the Final Four, including 5, which made the trip 3 or more times. And it's basically saying that the Longhorns could be one of these teams. It names 10. They got the Tulane, Green Wave, UCLA. Texas A&M is number 8. Not happening. Kansas State's number 7. They got a lot of problems there. We agree with the Aggies.
That's fair.
South Carolina's number 6. Tennessee Volunteers number 5, Wisconsin Badgers 4, Penn State Nittany Lions 3, USC Trojans 2, which that's not really a surprise to blow anything up. Lots to expect. They got the reigning Heisman Trophy winner there
Exactly.
and a potential number 1 overall pick. But then right ahead of them, they have the Texas Longhorns, number 1 most dangerous team in college football. Essentially saying that the Longhorns could make a lot of noise. Says Texas will be in the playoff, according to 247 Sports' way too early bowl projections. This team has one of the nation's most equipped rosters in getting through the Big 12 and finishing inside the top 4, regardless of what happens at Alabama in Week 2. It would certainly help if the Longhorns find a way to win that one with several members of an elite 2023 signing class ready to play early and playmakers everywhere on offense. Texas is primed to be one of the teams in the conversation all season long. Yeah. So, man, listen, we're drinking the Kool-Aid, all right? It ain't Kool-Aid. It's supposed to be, the real deal.
Yeah.
All right? We don't want the flavor. We want the Kool-Aid. They're saying they believe, too, the Longhorns are going to be a disruptor this year.
Man, come on, man. It's just, I sit here and I want
you're
to
saying no?
believe. I don't know how. What's the criteria for being considered the most dangerous
I
team?
think they're just saying, like, basically a
Because-
team that can sneak up on everybody and end up being a college football playoff contender to disrupt the entire landscape.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, yeah, if everything goes right and we think they're poised to make a serious run, I'm more looking at the Big 12 as opposed, towards the playoff. Now, we obviously know if they win the Big 12, then that means that they will find a way into the playoff if the win-loss record
Yes.
kind of evens out. If it's not a nine-win team playing for the Big 12 championship, I'd agree with you on that. I was already saying the over-under is 9.5. I had Texas at 10.
I got them over.
So we'll see how this plays out. But, it's kind of hard to figure out if they're going to be that kind of landscape team because you had some big-time players on your team. We talked about Bijan. We talked about Rojo. You still had the wide receiving core. You had the tight end. You had a lot of pieces that were that are coming back within this offense. But you've talked about it. How do you replace that guy? How do you replace Bijan Robinson? How do you replace a guy like Roshan? That would be my other part of it. What are we going to do on the offensive side of the ball with the running game to be able to – you talked about committee for the Cowboys. This is going to be a committee for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are 4 to 5 questions you can throw out there about the Longhorns that could implode the season. Send them on a downward spiral.
I do like this. I do like this, by the way, guys.
No, I know you like it. But today you like the Lakers, but you also want to be critical. You want to be real about it, about the Lakers' chances and what the matchup presents.
Yep.
And the same thing here. I think we all like this news. The Longhorns could be the most dangerous disruptor in college football, but we have a intimate knowledge of this team. We have been watching this team, and we've also seen this before, right? We've been through this before where the hype is at an all-time high. It's a runaway train of hype. Everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid. Everybody's just wasted on that burnt orange Kool-Aid. And then we realized, nope, it was Flavor Aid 4-5 games in. Oh, man, we got a hangover. Oh, no. You know what? I can't take it
right
at this point. And the disappointment becomes too much for Longhorn fans, and then they lash out, and then the backlash happens. Everybody's really high on this team, and they should be high on this team. And in my opinion, this ranking here is just another example of the no excuses tour that I think Steve Sarkisian is about to embark on.
That is it.
And he's even said it. We don't have weaknesses on our roster. And they, as a team right now, they look to be the most talented team in the Big 12. Now, truth be told, damn near every year since 1999, if based on recruiting rankings, Texas had the most talented team in the Big 12. Just based on recruiting rankings since 1999 and blue chip ratio. But we all know that's only half the battle. You got to develop talent. You got to develop a positive culture. All right. And your scheme has to give you a tactical, schematic advantage over your opponent. And Sark has got to win the chess match within the game and somehow find a way to subdue Coach Steven and not allow him on that sideline. So there are things that could implode this season. I agree with you. I think the running game, which we saw in the bowl game, we saw the running game and what it looked like without Bijan and Rojo. What it looked like to you? Trash.
Hey, look.
Okay, we agree, right? That was a trash running game. It was terrible. They couldn't even. I think they barely got over 3 yards per carry. It's a bad running game. Not saying the team was bad. That running game was trash. And part of that was Coach Steven not going in his bag, being very arrogant about running the same plays he would have ran with Bijan and Rojo, but running them with Keelan Robinson as your bell cow running back?
Lead back.
Dang coaching mistake. So I'm with you. Running game can send it down a downward spiral. Leadership. You lost a ton of leadership. You lost Rojo, who was the heart and soul of the team. We know now that guy was a natural leader, especially because he played the quarterback position. You lost Bijan, a guy that was an exceptional human being, willing to be a leader. DeMarvin Overshown leadership. Keandre Coburn. Remember Moro Ojimo speaking out to the point where he had to be reprimanded by the coaches?
He had to be muted for a while.
When keeping it real goes wrong, he was going to keep it real. That's a leader because he wasn't afraid of confrontation and telling it like it is. All right, that's a lead. You're going to miss leadership on the team. Remember Quinn Ewers reluctantly, all right, in that quarterback position, he didn't want to be a vocal leader. Now he's got to be a vocal leader. Now it's unavoidable. All right, Jay Witt's got to be the leader for that wide receiving core. JT Sanders got to be the Kevin Banks, just a true freshman last year, but now one of the best tackles in the country. He's going to have to be a leader on that offense. And on defense, yeah, they're going to be looking for leadership. Jaron Thompson, he's got to be a leader. So I think leadership or lack thereof can also become an issue, and you need leadership when you face adversity, and when you will face adversity when you go on the road, and you will go on the road to face the GOAT in Alabama. And there will be tons of adversity right there, and that's when leadership has to show up. After you lost to Tech, Rojo had to call the team meeting.
Love it.
So that the season didn't go off the rails. So I'm with you. And by the way, Quinn Ewers could just regress. And then the season goes all the way down the drain unless Malik Murphy turns out to be what we think Malik Murphy is. But still, my point is there are 4 or 5 things that I think could really derail the season. But I am being very nitpicky, and I think I'm grasping at those things. Do I think Quinn's going to regress? No. Do I think they'll have leadership step up? Yes. Do I think they'll develop some semblance of a running game? Yes. All right. It won't be an embarrassment like it was in that bowl game. By the way, Washington's defensive front, very underrated. and
Very.
very underrated.
Yeah.
So I listen. I think I know I am cautiously optimistic, and I know it could be derailed. But I think right now there's more reasons to be optimistic and positive about Texas football season than to be negative.
Right.
Way more.
What? Yeah.
So I'm gonna drink the Kool-Aid.
Okay. I'm with you.
All right.
I mean,
Well,
I'm trying.
sip
Yeah,
the
I was going to
Kool-Aid.
say there was
I'm
a
gonna
difference.
sip it.
There was
I'm
a
gonna
difference. I'm a
sip it.
sip. I'm staying
Yeah.
on my sips.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take it to the head.
No,
gonna
I'm not
sip
turned it up yet.
Nah, we don't turn it up yet.
No.
They beat Alabama. We turn it up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
They beat Alabama.
Y'all are gonna hate us coming in here on
man.
Monday.
Yeah. I need to know. You talking about that's gonna be some binge drinking of some Kool-Aid right there, man.
Well, especially you saw it's a night game too.
Oh,
It's a
my
night game,
They
goodness.
yeah.
came out with the
Yeah.
night game today.
Oh,
Now it's the
man.
game time for that. That's gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
We're gonna be doing keg stands of Kool-Aid and drinking Kool-Aid there, man. It's gonna
Man,
be
hold up.
Yeah, it will be an unstoppable hype train if they beat Bama, but that's a long way away.
Yep.
All right, we come back. We'll get in. We'll let you know what's on tap, and we'll put a wrap on this thing right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We'll let you know what's on tap here in just a second. If you miss any part of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and catch up with them on the podcast page. And also just remind everybody out there, go check out flxatx.com too. You can go check that out. Get all of your Central Texas high school sports updates. All right, what's on tap for us? I think we all got the same thing. What's on tap for you, Harsh?
100% same thing. Basketball. Can't wait for this lottery and, of course, the basketball game.
Basketball.
Exactly.
Patrick, same thing?
Yeah, I'm going to be either celebrating or drinking myself into a stupor. Either one is going to happen.
Well, Lady Luck always takes care of the Spurs when they are in the lottery,
There
and
it
they are in
is.
the lottery again. I'm hoping the Rockets will have Lady Luck on their side as well. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss it and talk about it. Same time, same channel. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll be talking right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.